Actually, your opinion is bad and wrong. That's 90% of our podcast content.
No way. Not this time.
It's the Console Crusade podcast, the long-awaited, the much-anticipated. As always, I'm EJ Olsen. I'm with Nick Durheim.
Hello.
And Chris Gilly-Forrer.
Barnabas McGee always eats for free.
No! What a deep cut, dude. What a fever dream.
For like a month.
Oh my God. And we got a special guest today, Tiffany Gilly-Forrer.
Everything you got. Everything you got.
Here we go, Galaxy. Here we go. And making his triumphant return, Nathaniel Andalis. How are you, sir?
I'm ready to get rocked.
We're off to a great start. Today, it's all about Paper Mario. Nick, this is one of your top 10 games of all time. I'm curious to see how many people in this current Discord call will share those feelings. But we're about to goobrick this goddamn game. So take it, sir. Take it!
I like Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door a lot. I was very happy when I saw, hey, it's actually getting its dues. It's getting a remaster / remake for the Nintendo Switch, further cementing it as the most goated console of all time. And some people were a little bit hesitant. They're like, is the 30 FPS really, is that going to be okay? And it was fine. And the visuals are beautiful. The music, the updated music, sort of modernizing it with the later Paper Mario entries is everything that I could possibly ask for. I don't know. I'm not the one who's like looking for a lot of edges smoothed off, because I think this is a fairly straightforward and smooth game to begin with. So I was not like expecting or hoping for a lot of changes. And what I got was a game with not a lot of changes, and that is just fine by me. So I was stoked. I went through this game. I did a lot of different builds than I had done in the past. I actually played around with the low HP builds with my partners, because I'd gotten a lot more badge drops in this run through than I'd done in the past. I don't know if they like tweaked the RNG on that, but I had like 2 Last Stand partner editions and like 2 or 3 of the one that boosts attack of your partner if they're below 5 hit points. So you equip those, and they're like 1 badge point each, and you throw on little Yoshi, and you're cranking out like 20 damage on just like the most menial of foes, and that feels great. You're just like kicking so much ass. So I just plowed through this game, and I was sick. I got COVID. So I was just like holed up in my bedroom playing this game. I think I ended up putting like 40 hours in. Like a lot of that was just me being like halfway paying attention and like scrolling my phone, just listening to Rogueport, like hanging out in a shop because they added all the dynamic, like location specific music. So I'm just like, yeah, God, this is so nice. Just big vibes. Big 2003 this game originally came out, so like 12-year-old Nick vibes, chilling hard. And yeah, I had a great time. I ran through, I did a lot of the extra content that I'd never done before. I did the Pit of 100 Trials. I hung out in the Pianta Parlor. I did all the different mini games there, which they were all pretty fun. I was addicted to the paper plane toss. I got some like crazy high scores on that, and you get like pretty good rewards. So I ended up buying like a lot of extra badges that I would have never actually gotten if I hadn't done those things. Or you could buy the gold bars and just have stupid money. So I just had a lot of money. I had a lot of badges and a lot of extra crap that I didn't need, but it just felt good to actually engage with those extra bits of content. I did not do both of the optional super bosses. I did one of them, and that was a harrowing experience, and we'll probably talk about that later. But yeah, this is like the definitive version of one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm excited that it's on a console that sold more than like 20 million copies. So that there's going to be a lot more opportunity to recommend this game to people. If they're like, hey, I like this Mario RPG franchise. I played Mario and Luigi, or I played Mario RPG. I played these other Paper Marios that are kind of mid, but they're fun. I like the writing. You can say, hey, you can go back and get like the good writing too, and also a good game. And that's like a nice change of pace. Because, I mean, I played Super Paper Mario, and I thought that was fine as far as the gameplay. And the writing was still great. I loved Origami King. I loved that writing, but the gameplay was that was the worst part of it. It was like clearly the worst part of it. So it got to the point where you try to engage with the combat as little as possible to get to the good stuff, which is the writing. And I never felt that with my replay through with Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. All the combat was like enjoyable and the rewards were rewarding throughout, like the different badge drops that you can get. If you get the badge from the Rogueport Underground, which increases your chances of getting drops, you can actually like try and go for more badges, like try to farm badges by using Miss Mouse and like trying to steal badges from enemies. And I don't know, that's like the kind of nerdy ass RPG shit that I really love, is like having a guide open to see, oh, what are the drop chances on this character? What do they drop? And like, how can I try and like get this thing right? I'm focusing, laser focused on this one thing, and I'm just going to do it over and over and over until I get the reward that I'm looking for. And like the rewards are, I don't know, in any RPG, like what is really the point of like grinding out a reward? It's just because you want it. It's like, you don't need it to beat the game generally, unless it's like some dick grind of an RPG, but you just want that thing. You want to get powerful. You want to like feel badass and that you accomplished it. You dodge lightning 100 times as Tidus in the goddamn plains, and like you got that sword and you feel good about it. You don't need that sword. Like you don't need 4 copies of this one badge that makes you incredibly overpowered, but you just want to one-shot Bone Tail in the goddamn pit of 100 trials. That's the thing you want. So I don't know, this game really awakens like the sicko mode that is kind of rare for me actually to engage with in RPGs. Like a lot of times I get kind of tired of an RPG about 2/3 of the way through it. And at that point I just want to like go on cruise control and just like pound it out. But I was like fully engaged this entire time doing the stupid dummy stuff, doing all of the trouble quests, which are like, you know, it's always just walk somewhere, talk to a person, walk back. But the writing is so good. Like you want to get that extra detail. You want to get those extra story moments and story beats. And there were like really good ones like in there too. So I don't feel bad about engaging with that part of the content either. But yeah, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is just a goddamn masterpiece. I love it. It's still top 10. It may be even going up. I don't know. I mean, I have to relitigate that with myself at some point. Maybe let some other people talk about this game for once.
Yeah, I mean, I know y'all two don't, Chris and EJ don't have the same feeling, but everything you said, Nick, I 100% echo, and that is what we call a prime callback, and and I found myself like I just beat the game an hour ago. I really took my time with this because I've beaten it before. And I just loaded up my file right now and I'm at 36 hours, which is like, it felt like a long time I was playing this, but it wasn't as long. And there's a lot of content I didn't get to do yet because I just wanted to beat the last boss again. Do we spoilers? Do we
I think we can unshackle spoilers and just like let everybody know, yeah, we're going to be talking about all the extra stuff going on here.
For sure, yeah. I just wanted to smack Shadow Queen's ass real quick before logging in. But I knew I've beaten Bone Tail before, and so I was like, I'm like looking forward to going back and doing that. And when you like playing with different builds that I've never played with before. Before, I remember when I was younger, 20 years ago, I think it was just like power bouncing like as much as I could, and that's how I played the game, and it was just a fucking mess. But but all of the like shit posting groups are all talking about the Danger Mario build, and I'm just like, I don't really care. I just want to play the game. But then like I started getting all these badges, and then I'm like, oh, I can do this. And so like around chapter 5 or 6, I started like altering and just putting it all into my badges. I respect my HP and started fucking around. I just didn't think it would be as fun as it would be to just do multi-bounce, everyone 15 damage, like every like match. And I'm just like, yo, I'm just clearing the field. I don't even need to use items. Like this is way too fun. Just setting up the buffing and setting up and just like blasting through. I did not expect to have that much fun with doing that. While these fools keep working out their Alaska shit.
Yeah, they're multi-bouncing in and out of this Discord call, dude.
I've always felt like this game was my top 10. It always has been. My history with the game, I'll try not to take too much time here, but I played this game when it came out in 2004. It was in October, I remember. You know, I was out of high school for a year. I had bought my GameCube by myself, like with my first job. I was dating my first girlfriend, and I think we had went on a break 2 months before this game came out, and I was living with her, but we weren't together, and she was dating one of my friends. So it was a very complicated time. In many ways, a very dark time in my life. But since I was still living with her, like we would play Paper Mario together, and we trade off, probably what you guys are doing now, Chris and Tiffany, and just trade off the game. And we worked together too. We both worked at Chuck E. Cheese. And I was worried that the game I would reframe that traumatic experience as like, when I think of Paper Mario, I'm going to think about that time. But when going back to it, like I was so pleasantly surprised that the game itself is powerful enough to just like be what it is, and I can engage with it as presently as it was. And at that time, like it was just such a great experience playing it for that month or so, or a month or two. And I just knew that like this game was just so good. I don't want to replay it. I don't want to do too much. I don't want to 100% it, in 2004. I'm going to get back to it when I want to get back to it, when it feels right. And I never did. And I always kept it. And it's always been in like top 10. Out comes that direct. And then they announced that, that remaster. And I don't know. I think like I'm Nintendo traumatized. So I was just kind of like blank while watching this direct. I'm just like, oh, this is happening. Wow. Huh. I don't get excited or blow up in these directs anymore. Except for the Zelda one that just got announced. I was just like, oh my God, I'm getting emotional. Oh my God, we're back. But yeah, anyway, I went back to it. It's been 20 years, and everything is better than I remember. And I might even put this top 4 for me, like hands down. Like this is a desert island game for sure. You're gonna catch me in chapter 6 or chapter 5, whatever it is, just sitting up there with Admiral Bobbery, and I only got 4 games. This game's on there, and I know I could play it really slow. And like, if I feel like getting all the recipes, I'll do it. And I could actually feel that urge to do it. Like post game, I haven't had a post game urge in such a fucking long while. Great stories like God of War, play through it. No interest in post gaming. None of that shit. I just blasting.
Well, really quick before I toss it to Chris and Tiffany, the thing that I do like, that very small thing, very, very small thing that they added for a post game, is that the original game, you would just have a save right before Shadow Queen, and that was where you would restart if you started your save file again. There was no saving after you'd beaten the game. And in this one, you pick back up, and it's Mario coming back on the ship to all of your partners, and they say, you're back. We can get back to, doing all these other little things that we had put behind. So there is an actual post game, and like I started that up, and like I'm just like, oh fuck, I got to do post game stuff now. Like,
yeah.
So if you boot that game back up, it's like going back to the adventure.
I'm ready to like boot it up right now. I'm just like, I haven't booted it up yet, but you saying that, okay, so I just beat this shit an hour ago, and I was fucking like sobbing my eyes out. I did not expect that. Like I've seen people like in meme groups post like a lot of the goodbyes at the docs pictures and shit, and but for some reason, while it was coming up, I started holy shit, this is therapy. I started identifying with a lot of these characters. They're all having their individual goodbye, which real quick, I think I saw some like video a long time ago about like people asking people on the street to like describe this character, and they show a picture of Han Solo, and they're like, oh yeah, he's a rogue, he's a braggart, he's and then they'll show like another Star Wars character that has like absolutely nothing you can really describe about it, and then all these people like, I don't know what to describe about that character. I look at all these single characters in this game, like every individual character, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can like go for minutes for each one. Each one has like a very distinct story, feel, and emotion you can identify with, something that like you want to increase or decrease in you. I look at Bobbery. I want to decrease the amount that I resonate with grief, and I want to increase my sense of adventure, right? So like, that's just Bobbery. So like every single one of these characters has something about them that I identify with as a 38-year-old man who's like lived an extra 20 years since this game come out, that I'm just like, well, oh my God, I can't remember. Is it Coops? Coops? What's his name? I don't even know his fucking name. Coops, man. Like, man. Anyway, yeah, so I'm saying goodbye to all these characters, and I'm just like, every one of them's talking, and I'm like sobbing my eyes out. We get to Flurry, and she starts talking about she wants to get back into theater, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, that part too, and it's like fucking hitting me because I haven't done anything in theater in about 10 months now. I got something coming up in 2 months, but yeah, that and her vanity too. It's like you want to drop the vanity, but you also want to bring the passion up too. So it's like there's like a balance to the things that you think are character flaws that you frame with, but are actually stuff that make you unique and make you lovable and make you part of a journey together. And we can all, and then having them all say goodbye. And it's also like, please come back. Like, come back. We're going to miss you. And don't forget us is the thing that really hit me, because all people really care about is they want to be remembered and loved, right? And like this, you go to this place and you go there, and all they really care about is they're all there to inspire you because they believe in you to like save the world, and they're just like, just don't forget us, and that's all that really matters to them. And it's just incredibly powerful for a game that's for 10-year-olds, you know.
Don't take 20 years to come back is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Chris, Tiffany, you choose how you want to order it. Chris, you've beaten the game, but Tiffany, if you want to jump in and say something, you are more than welcome to as well.
We got plenty of stuff. I like that we're just freewheeling. I have everything organized by Gubrick. We kind of just said
We can go through that there and be organized afterwards, but I just wanted to like let people say their piece before we get into it more thoroughly.
Real quick, we have no backup recording going, so I hope everyone's got their audio recording and we're all locked in, because Gark and Craig just said, fuck you guys today. It dropped out of the Discord, so...
Wow.
Are those bots or people?
They're bots. Just as a backup recording. It's lesser quality, but it's good to have a backup, as we have found.
It's just 21 minutes on my end, so...
Okay, you're still good. I would hate to lose that monologue, Nate, because it was beautiful.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, dude.
Gark couldn't handle the emotion, and he just bounced out.
Yark's like, I gotta go to therapy.
Fucking
I got
tech
some
over
stuff to
there
unpack.
got shut down.
Tick!
Too human, he short-circuited, like...
We didn't even get to TEC. That's just a whole nother fucking level. I'm just like, oh man, can't fuck with this game.
There's so many things I enjoyed a lot about this game. I don't want to keep us firmly in that realm, at least for a little bit, and then we can talk about some other stuff when we actually get into the Gubrick. But like top level, like I found myself kind of, I felt like a preemptive eye roll coming after like maybe a halfway to the second star with regards to combat. And then that pretty much was gone after like star 3, where I was just like, this actually is a great combat system. I love the different, I found myself using not all of the companions, but like at least 60 to 70% of them on a regular basis situationally. Obviously slapped on the quick change badge immediately as soon as I got it. So I'm like, I'm not trying to eat that turn to switch like coops in if I need to do like some ground assault or whatever. And there are just so many fucking ways you could play. Like Nick, you did the partner like power rush, and Nate, I know that you did the Mario like the 5 HP build where you're just dealing tons of fucking damage by stacking up a bunch of those like power rush badges. I was like, oh, that's so cool that's just a thing you can do. Like, there's totally room for like the kid build where you just smash a bunch of defensive badges on so you could soak up shit while you're trying to learn how to video game. Or you could just get like hulked out. Like I ended up with double power increase badges for Mario and partner, all or nothing, you know, because like the timing window, it's like, I'm hella confident, like I'm never going to miss this. So like, give me that extra power. And just there's so many different ways you can build that all work really well. So like for an RPG, your combat has to be good for me to care, for anyone to care. The combat has to be good. And the combat is fucking good in this game. It's really, really good. I know we talked a little bit about writing, but I don't know the last time this often I was absolutely laughing out loud, full-throated at the TV on a regular basis. Like, this game is fucking hilarious in the way that it will just throw all of these complete non sequiturs. Like, Nick, we talked about this when we were chatting the other night, but when you're in Twilight Town listening to the crows and they're talking about like the internet being a bunch of tubes and fossil fuels and renewable energy. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then you go into the house with the mom and the 3 kids, and she turns into a pig, and the 2 kids on the left are like, oh my God. And the one on the right just real quick pops up. It's like, I wonder if pig's tasty. And what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, who wrote this? Like, I love you. You need help, but I love you so much for for all of the writing in this game. And some highlight moments that I think are like series best for me. Well, specifically, like everything Cortez. I've blasted that on like every Discord channel I'm a part of at this point, of like the remix of the track that they did for that is, I cannot stop hearing it in my head like a week on. It fucking thrashes so hard. I literally this week, 2 days at the gym, 45-minute lift, 35-minute lift, literally had that YouTube video on repeat for the entire session both times. Like I just literally is not stopping the flood of dopamine to my brain after hours of listening to that track on repeat. And that's a great fucking boss fight with great escalating phases that you feel like you are fighting harder and harder and harder to get uphill. The whole composite of that whole thing, Mario RPG across like Mario and Luigi, 7 stars, and the Paper series, that's a best in series fight, like on all phases. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna remember that fight. It's like, it's rare that I have those kinds of like, I don't know, imprints in my 30s of like, I'm going to remember that fight. Like, I'm going to remember this. That's going to be like a memory that I have of gaming. And that's really, really cool that I could get that from this game. Yeah, I want to kick it over to Tiffany, because I know you've got some stuff in you've got some stuff to say we haven't said yet that I think is fucking hilarious. I peeked at your notes and was like, oh, you need to be the one to say this, because I agree, but I love that.
Okay, you guys are all like positive vibes, so I'll talk about things I thought are good.
Don't worry, Tiffany. We're gonna get to the oob and the goobric.
Okay,
Yeah, you don't
great. Things that are great. Obviously, the humor. I super agree with that. I think the writing is great. That's kind of the best thing about this game. The bits, the horny women for Mario. I also think the art style is really cool. I think that's worth mentioning in pretty much anything where the art style is unique and does a good job. I think the way that they, animate things, because it's paper, is a blast and interesting and funny and surprising. These are things that are kind of hard for any media to do anymore, because we've just seen so much. And then I wrote something that you guys reminded me of, which was vocabulary. I think that like this game is a vocabulary adventure for young people. So teaching them words and phrases they've never heard of, kids and teens even. And then let's see if there's anything else I had. Oh, I put badges too. I think the badges are all pretty neat. So yeah, I think that that's kind of a short way of saying all the things that I thought were great. I don't know how to expand upon those things, but I enjoyed the humor when I had the patience to read it. That's
Great,
the G.
Grammar.
EJ.
Visually, the only times, and again, I only got through like 2 stars in this game, so there's a lot I haven't experienced, but visually, yeah, a lot of the little nods to like this being a paper world and some sort of stage play and the way that they do transitions and stuff. I'm like, that's great. That tickled me when I saw that. And there'd always be something different, or they're like something's folding up, or like they're ripping away the construction paper over the top of, the scene below it. I'm like, that's great. That's cute. And obviously Paper Mario at the time being such a departure from Super Mario RPG. What year was Super Mario RPG? Were these games like 8 years apart?
6, I think. It was like the same year as the N64 was Mario RPG. And then Paper Mario was like 98, 99, and then Thousand Year Door, 2004, like Nathaniel said.
2004? Okay. That was solid. The badge system, that is at the top of my list for the G's here in the Goobrick. At one point, Chris, you had sent me an absolutely unhinged voice memo, and I had recorded a response and decided to say it for the podcast. But, obviously I have to compare this to Super Mario RPG, because it's been so long since I beat the original Paper Mario. It's been like 12 years. But I just recently played RPG. At first I was like, man, they really stripped back a lot of what I liked about the combat in that game. A lot fewer like AoE effects, and the way that your partners interact with each other. The battles are much quicker than this game. This game, it felt like, man, these battles are a slog. I'm just spamming fire flowers just to I don't want to be in these engagements. But as you start to unlock more badges and can start to kind of customize the way you actually interact with enemies, like the badge system is so much more fleshed out than just like linearly scaled armor that you're not actually choosing between. Like you have to use the better armor if you want to be better at this game. And as it gives you, and then not until the very end of that game do you get something that maybe you can kind of swap out. But so this is a much deeper, much more fleshed out system and a way to actually feel like my choices matter, my loadout matters. I'm not just using what the game gives me in order here. So I appreciated that.
Tiffany, you wanted to say something.
I did. I wanted to say the badge that I really liked that was totally useless but so funny was any of the voice badges, like the frog or peach. I still have the peach one on, where if I hammer something, it goes, or, oh.
I don't think I equipped that one.
That is canonically the sound Peach makes when Mario lays the hammer.
Oh my
yes.
God.
Speaking of people being
hammer.
horny for Mario, which also is one of my favorite parts of this game, that every one of these fucking anthropomorphic creatures just wants Mario to lay that plumber's pipe so fucking badly. Goobella, you're right on the dog. She's like, ooh, Mr. Plumber, save me. I'm a co-ed at Goomba University. And it's
You
like,
goom.
what the fuck? And we get to Flurry, and she's like, just thick ass, wind spirit, and her special power is
And the
blowing.
horniest saxophone is playing in the background.
Yeah, and she
all these
just-
characters have their own themes, and her theme is probably the horniest.
He's an Italian trades worker making a union wage. Like he's at the top of the list of like, that's who you want to settle down with.
Most fuckable man in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Come on. I make $94.57 an hour. Fuck you. Shout out to Mario.
I'm sporting the Waluigi badge, and so I was just like, whatever. Let me just switch some colors up and just walk around purple. My sheets are purple.
Big same.
Wow.
Yeah, as soon as I got that Luigi badge in Poshly Sanctum and then went back to Rogueport and the merchant was selling the Wario badge, I knew it had to be done.
I didn't even know there was a gold Mario badge, and I was just like, well, I have something to fucking look forward to now. And
Well,
here I go. Gonna go get
there
it.
you go. Get all the recipes, do all the everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Gold Mario and beat Prince Mush. That's gonna be my end game.
It's a satisfying fight. It's hard. I definitely want to chat about that a little bit. I want to talk about Rogueport first, though, because this is something that, as I thought about it, I want to make sure we don't gloss over. Rogueport is, this is my great column. Rogueport is how every hub area should be designed. I think that, well, I don't know if it's because I heard the music so goddamn much, or if because it actually was like really catchy, but Rogueport and Lower Rogueport are two of the tracks that I actually quite liked in this game. Amidst a lot of stuff that, frankly, I'm not going to remember, was not very memorable for me for the most part, but those two are great. They have a really great sense of Upper Rogueport is adventure and grandness and scale, and then Lower Rogueport is sort of this mystery, discovery. It's driving, it's moving you forward. And I'm a Metroid guy. I love to see a thing I cannot do, knowing I will eventually be able to do that thing, and that is Lower Rogueport. That I'm seeing the little corner of the paper hanging off and going, ooh, I know there's going to be something there. And then getting that companion and going, I can use Flurry to blow that paper off the wall and there's going to be something there. Ooh, there's a cracked wall. I know I'm getting a bomb companion at some point because I had one in the first game. Presumably they're going to do it again. It's great. It's awesome. It just gives you those little things to know that there is more there. That makes me want to come back and look for it. I could see things like the background, foreground stuff, and I could look and see, I get into the first house, which I think is Merle's, and then, or Merlovely. There are so many Mer people in this game, so many more than the first Paper Mario. And just knowing, look at all those other houses that are back there. I wonder what's over there. That is how I want every hub area to be designed, to show me that there are more things coming, and giving me a sense of curiosity that I'm going to remember, and teaching me how to use those things so that when I see them in the field, I'll be able to use them effectively. Not that it's like, that complicated. It's baby's first RPG, right? But this is a great way to teach without just saying, here's another thing to do, even though they do a lot of that also. But the Rogueport hub is not like that. And that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, and then they increased the difficulty of the things down there. So it's just it's like, oh great, now I can actually feel good clearing this.
Yeah, that's something I wish that they would do more of. Like if I had to say one thing I would have loved in this iteration is to have more scaled enemy encounters as you do like go back to these areas several times, especially if you're doing the trouble quest. You have to go back to Bonetail's castle like 4 times. It is absurd. It's way too many times. But if you went there another time and they had like the stronger dry bones, you're like, oh shit, like I actually have to be like, I have to be plugged in. I have to do the gamer lean forward for these combat encounters. Then that would have been really cool. But I do love that they did that with the Koopas and the magic Koopas down in the under Rogueport.
I felt like I earned my ability to Yoshi around the fucking trash from chapter 1 and like to just step on them and kill them instantly. I'm just like, you know what? I'm like actively trying not to fight these guys. And that's now a fucking platformer where it's like I'm punished for actually touching the thing that would one-shot me in the original Mario. So it's like, and that part of going back to Hooktail, I tried not to go back to Hooktail that much. I'm like, I think I could go back there twice. I ended up going back there 3 fucking times. And I'm just like, God damn it, whatever.
I'm not going to do this now. You know I've got a rant, and I have written it out word for word. But when we get to the second when we get to the oob, you're gonna need to let me cook for a second because I finally figured out like the way I wanted to articulate some of that stuff. And obviously, I'm on record as like really hating XP slashing as a way of scaling your areas. It is a system. It's just like to turn a phrase that Nick likes to use, it's my platonic nightmare for how to design an RPG XP scaling system. But the Rogueport refresh was extremely fucking welcome because that is the area you have to be in. So if they are going to make you be there over and over again, you need to give us something to fight that I'm not just like doing the other stuff. But anyway, the rest of that, we'll get there later. There's, I'm sure, more stuff we could talk about that's in the goo part.
Any other G's? I don't think I G'd.
Let me pull up my notes. We're just gonna full transition from top level thoughts to goob thoughts. So, yes, I did have the Rogueport as great because I do love how that unfolds as you keep going through your story. The crowd mechanic is top tier. It's unfortunate that we never got another Mario RPG to like follow up on that. There's so many. There's like so much opportunity space. There's a really high ceiling for what they could do to add to that. Something I really love about this game in general is that everything feels, to me, very tight. And like, there's nothing that's like, oh, that went too far. That's too much. It feels like everything that they add to this game, I'm thinking, oh, it'd be really cool if they did this. There's a reason why there's so many games that take inspiration from Paper Mario and its badge systems and its low numbers combat encounters. And something that I haven't really seen a lot of is the crowd mechanics of like, if you perform well, if you do these extra moves, like you do your input to do more damage, but then you can do extra inputs that are either hidden or you have to figure out on your own. Or I don't know if the Battletoad actually teaches you the stylish moves, but doing these stylish moves, you're grandstanding, you're putting on a show. There's literally people watching you and they will cheer for you and boost your star points for that battle so that you can do even more extra like summons basically in a traditional RPG. And I really like that. And I like how if your crowd is full of like shy guys, then you're more likely to get rocks thrown at you. Then you go stomp on a shy guy, or they'll run up on stage. They'll rush the stage and they'll pull a lever and send a light flying down on you, or the trees will fall down from the background. It's just kooky shit. It's very entertaining just to engage and partake in this thing that's happening to you, but you also have the opportunity to influence the outcome of what's happening.
Yeah, and that appeal system, it comes back in the end. Like it's like the whole time we've been getting cheered on by an audience to beat all these things, and then now we get to the biggest appeal ever, and then all the stars come together to you could disarm the Shadow Queen.
Beautiful. I love an RPG that ends with everybody praying and hoping that the hero wins. Like that is such a trope, but it gets me every time. It got me in Earthbound. It got me in OG Mario RPG. It got me in Paper Mario. Like hell yeah, cheer me on, baby.
And all the words are in different colors from different regions and stuff. And you
can tell who's who. You can tell which one's Luigi. And I love that.
Yeah. And it's like you have a reminder that like everything you do in the world matters. And the people that you affect and the people that you touch and the people that you help. And that they will come back to you when you're at your absolute lowest. Right. And then that's when you can take on your darkest, deepest shadow. It's just thematically rich and it's
It's like the scene in Pokemon when Ash like turns to stone and all the Pokemon cry and all their tears bring him back to life.
Exactly. Cultural touchstone.
Well, so for my I put the entirety of the finale section, all of the finale. Like I texted Chris a couple days ago and I was like trying to assess how much time I have to beat this because like it's been like a month, right? And so like I was like, I can't remember. Is there any dungeon behind the door, or is it just door in the final boss fight? And he's like, oh, there's a long dungeon. And I was like, oh, cool. But like, I don't remember it at all. And so like when I get there, I'm expecting like some big sewery purple area. It turns out to be a big regal red castle palace. And I'm just like, oh shit, I don't remember this at all. Did this just change? I don't know. Maybe did I blast through it when I was younger? I can't remember. And then every section of it changes. Like there's parts of it where I feel like when the 8 keys pop up, I was like, I bet Chris really got pissed off at this spot. Like what the fuck? He's like, damn it! Now I have to go to 8 different doors again down the stairs, and I'm like, I could feel that kind of like annoyance.
Is there going to be a boss rush? No.
All right. For the record, I felt that impulse, and then it washed away in service of this is a dungeon that's making me do backtracking that actually is meaningful instead of just walking a straight fucking line from A to B to A to B to A to B to A to B. So I appreciated that. But you're right. The first I felt it rising and then I was like, no, this is what you wanted from some of these other dungeons and backtracks. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. And the reason that I thought you felt that is because I felt it too. Like it's there. Like there's a noticeable like, oh, when you have an expectation of the duration of this like section and then all of a sudden it gets bigger and longer and bigger and longer. And there's actually like 4 boss fights. And again, then there is that little twinge of like, oh my God, is this going to keep going? But there's also like this sense of enjoyment that I had. I was like, oh my God, I get to actually fight Bowser, and him coming in at the end like fucking like Groose in Skyward Sword, and I was just like,
John Cena.
yeah, and it's like you knew he was coming. Like they edge you the whole game, and it's like there's the reason we're playing as Bowser through all these goddamn chapters, and I just know it's coming, and I still kind of forgot. And then like everything's all like it's professional wrestling, man. Everything's all set up for the lose, and then all of a sudden the entrance thing comes, dun, 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 and he fucking like knocks out the dude, and it's like, oh my God, this is storytelling. This is peak storytelling. It's simple. It doesn't have to get all super and complicated. Anyway, the entirety of the finale and the final area, the bosses, I had Mouse out trying to like sniff for secrets, which was like unnecessary, but like, I'm so glad they didn't put extra shit in there. It's like, that would have been so annoying to have to like flip open panels in the final area. Yeah, the story, the spirit bomb, pop-up book stuff, the design of like theater, like a lot of the stuff that was already talking about, all that stuff is like really superior. What makes this game so great. And it's like every time that Nintendo does that, they're like, hey, let's make a yarn game or a fucking like whatever, like these are people who spend hours of their life creating something so simple for money. So it's like if they want to express themselves artistically by trying out some stuff, that's like really refreshing as a fellow human to be like, yeah, I'll fuck around on your epic yarn Kirby or your fucking woolly fucking Yoshi, like and they're easy, and I'm like I don't care. And so like, and because I know this isn't for me, but I like it. But if I'm gonna just play it, $50. Beat it, sell it for $35, and like great, I rented it for $15, and I'm glad it's here, and I'm glad other people can enjoy it and shit. But that's pretty much my G. Most of the good stuff we've already talked about.
I do want to say I differ from Chris in this, that I do love the music, and the way that they approached the remade versions of these tracks was, I think, really well done, and had a layer of cohesion that the original game, the areas had very distinct and different sounds, and they still do, but the instrumentation and the way they approach these themes, there's like an extra level of, well, we want this to fit in thematically with newer Paper Mario games. So you get a lot more of like the heavy metal guitars, the chugging, which works great for boss battles. So that's used a lot in boss battles, and that's what, gives Chris the stank face during Cortez. Like he's thinking about that low E string, like, and it fits so well for that song. And the original was like a synth, so there's like a lot of more. I would think that the original soundtrack is like punchier, but the remade version is like big, and they went extra. And I love the dynamic nature of Rogueport, where you have the Rogueport theme when you're in the main square, and you have the more nautical sort of seafaring theme when you're at the docks. You have the shop theme, which I already mentioned, which is like kind of like jazzier, a little bit more low key. I think even the West Side has a different theme. I can't quite remember, but there's a lot of dynamism in the themes, and all the locations have a specific variation on the battle music. And when you're at the Riverside station, when you're chapter 6 on the train and you get waylaid, the music there, the battle theme, it's the fewest battles in any chapter. Like, you could skip all those battles if you wanted to. You could have 0 battles in that chapter, but the battle theme is so stanky and so nice, and it stands out to me. I love Bogley Woods. I love how creepy and eerie the visual aesthetic is and how the music matches that. I love Creepy Steeple and fighting Dupless and his nightmare clown combat. There's just so many like musical stings that I love. I love Miss Mouse and her theme, and they added like this like J-pop idol version of it where it actually like counts into it. I love when a remix of a song adds vocals, and when you have all the star pieces and you're at the 1,000-year door, and it keeps every time you go at the end of a chapter and you bring another crystal star to the 1,000-year door, they're adding instruments to that element, and the final thing they add is a choir vocal to it, and it feels so earned and huge. And it's just like, yes, I'm about to open this door. This is the thing that I've been working for towards this entire game. And then you get a badass dungeon like you talked about, Nathaniel. Like the music and the way it pushes the story forward and pushes you through it is beautiful in this game. And I think the remake did a great job with it. It's not in like my top 10 of remade music scores. I think Link's Awakening did a better job of like adapting and improving, but it also had a bigger jump. It had a bigger leap to go from 4-channel Game Boy to like small string quartet, like chamber orchestra doing Tall Tall Mountain or whatever. But I think the changes that they made were by and large good. And I do like that they immediately, pretty much off the bat, you can equip a 0-cost BP badge to have the GameCube music, and you're not missing out on all the new themes. So if you have that equipped and you get to Madame Flurry, you're still going to hear her new music. You're not missing out on the new music. It's just going to keep the original battle music and original Rogue Port and just not change those things.
Yeah, which is like something I didn't see that. I didn't know that. Like, so like it wasn't until I switched when that badge came on, I kept feeling like I'm going to get FOMO or not understanding the contrast between the old music and the new music. So I just turned off the new music. And then I was like, let me get this badge. And then I was like, the old music hits. And so I'm like, I'm listening to music, but then there were times where I'm like, is this even old music? This sounds really good. And it's like, I couldn't really tell the difference until I brought up the sound test menu, and they're like, you can't test this one because you have this badge on. So I'm like, oh, so there are things that are new things that you can't hear, which means that they do play them regardless. And I'm like, oh, this I don't feel like I missed out, but there is a point where I'm going to go back and like actually like listen to every single one of them and feel them. Chris was talking about the Cortez battle music, and I'm just like, yeah, it was cool, right? And I'm like listening to it, re-listening to it on YouTube. I'm just like, yeah, I don't see. Then I listened to the new version. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, there we go. I forgot you had that badge on. I was like, what do you mean that didn't hit for you? Because
yeah, it did. Yeah, I was like, what? But like, there's like all kinds of shit. I'm like, holy shit! Like, and I'm like, okay, I guess I got to listen to every single fucking track I missed.
It has a breakdown.
Music's for sure by G. I forgot about that. And like every single chapter is like super unique and meaningful, and it's like there's a fucking mystery one. There's one where you get taken over and transformed into a shadow, and like you have the gameplay elements change every single chapter. And when you're at the end and you're going back to reflect on the journey and see all the star having its effect on every single region, it's just like, my God, what a fucking long, strange trip it's been. And I don't even remember the shit from the first Paper Mario. I'm just like, oh, there's the blind guy chapter, and there's a snow, and it's usually like snow, desert, lava, you know, it's always like kind of like that. But these are just they're all individual worlds, and it's really cool.
Hey, Flavio, dude. Boom Bassa Boom Festival.
I have some small things to shout. I think most of my G's have been hit. So like soundtracks in my okay, like we already talked about. It was like very video game music for me, generally speaking, but there are some like big highlights, and also the reorchestrations of the music is solidly in my great. Then I'm like, even if I'm not like, if this isn't going to be a soundtrack that I like play regularly or listen to regularly, the orchestrations are fucking excellent. Like, it is beautiful. It is crispy. With some big highlights, like you said, the battle theme changes. I'm so glad you shouted that. I was not aware of how much I needed that until EJ pointed that out in the Mario RPG review that I went, oh yeah, that would have been kind of cool. And now I'm seeing that when it happens, like even, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, RIP, that Goob review that is never happening, has dynamic battle themes in every single area. And I'm like, this is awesome. Cortez fight, obviously, the fucking Godfather ass music with all the Don Pianta stuff. I was like, fucking sent me every time. Like, God damn it, that's so funny. The battle music on the moon and the X-Not bass music, like, I was like, I totally fuck with this. Nate's freaking out. He's like, absolutely.
I stood on my fucking feet during the entirety of the Moon Sex chapter. I don't know what the hell. I was in handheld and I was watching like Presumed Innocent on Apple Plus, and I'm just like trying to like play this thing, but I kept like standing on my feet, and I'm like, I don't know, fucking Adderall right now. Why am I standing? And I'm just like bouncing up and down. I'm just like, God damn, this music slaps. A whole fucking chapter. I don't care how many fucking floors this bass is. I'm gonna fucking stand up and I'm gonna fucking bounce and shake my ass. It was great.
That was a great dungeon design too, where it's got you moving between floors and like, oh, I can't get here yet, so there must be something I don't have. Oh, I have that card key. Now I can go put that here. Oh, I need the password. Oh, I found that in a lower floor. Love that. Also, simplifying the fast travel system, putting all of the pipes in one centralized location. Holy shit, that is so fucking appreciated. That was one of my least favorite parts about OG Paper Mario when Nick, you and I did that replay a while ago. Yeah, you replayed that. It's just no fast travel, and it just, oh my god. So that was,
they kind of section it out.
Yeah, this was incredibly welcome and super super fucking appreciated.
Or like the partner swap. Yeah, those are the two things that they majorly highlighted as being like the core additional features, and both of them were really welcome features. The partner swap, being able to just do that on a button and like key over and bring out Coops to get you that item from far away, and then swap over to Bobbery. It makes, actually, my last thing in the G is that I really loved the layout of Pirate's Grotto specifically. I think that dungeon is like peak design.
Yes.
I loved that you had options too. Like, you didn't have to, it wasn't like, oh, here's the solution to this one problem. There were times where I did something different that I was like, I'm not sure if that's actually like the way I'm supposed to do this. Like, there's an area where I think you're supposed to use like the tube to roll under these spikes that are shooting out of the wall. But I just ran through with Vivian and like shadowed down. And so you have like multiple options to surpass these obstacles. And yeah, I love that you use every single one of your party members. Now that you have the full crew, you've got Bobbery, you're locked in, you got everyone. And it's got this verticality to it where you're going up, then you come down this waterfall once you get your boat ability, and then rescuing the shipwrecked like passengers, and you paper planing over to like the right pipes and like trying to stop in the right spot. Like it was just a really fantastic use of all of the abilities that you'd accrued up to that point. And that's like the last of your abilities. You got everyone, you got your final paper curse, you fool, you got cursed again, you idiot, you opened up that chest. How could you fall for this trick 4 times or whatever? So yeah, I just love that they actually culminated into a dungeon that asked you to do all the things that you can do.
Best chapter to me, pound for pound. Every piece of that I thought was really hit for me.
My weakest chapter, I was talking to Chris about. I was like, I just felt like the grotto wasn't as memorable to me. I don't know. Maybe it was the place I was in when I was playing it 2 weeks ago. But I was like, if I were to like rank the chapters, which I really don't want to, I was like, this is somewhere at the bottom, I think. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like the by like least enjoyable play, I think.
Yeah, I get that. I think the preamble up before you get to the dungeon itself is pretty weak. Like, you're just kind of like running back and forth to Bobbery at the tree, and you don't really have a strong attachment to the passengers with you. Like, Flavio is big and fun and stupid, and like he's fun to dislike. But beyond that, you just have like a big Babam and like some toads. So you don't really get that kind of level of attachment to the other characters. They're not maybe as charming as maybe some of the other characters in other chapters are.
Even at the end during the Spirit Bomb, they were like seeing all the different people that you've affected. We get to the island, I'm just like, oh, it's the toads. I forgot. It's just those dudes. Like, yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, need Frankie and Francesca there.
Yeah,
on their second honeymoon.
What the fuck, man?
I just remembered a great thing that I enjoyed because of the gameplay, and that was Goombella being able to just click the right and left button when I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do next? And she helped me figure it out. So it was nice that they gave us like a sort of cheat code if you forgot.
Yeah, there's a couple of times I pressed that where I'm just like, you know what? It's I want to go to bed, so let me just get to the next spot. I can't remember what to do, and I don't want to search. Click. Okay, go.
I pressed it a lot.
Dude, I immediately, the first possible opportunity, put Goombella in my back pocket because for some reason, 40% of the buttons on the controller bring up a prompt that makes Goombella talk to you that you can't skip through because you can't change text speed for some reason. So as soon as I got Coop, what was his name? Coops. As soon as I got Coops, I was like, all right, Goombella, I am never going to fucking talk to you again. And finally, this button does something other than bring up an identical dialogue I've fucking read a million times. And I kept hitting it, trying to go to my menu. And I'm like, menu is on start in this game, not on fucking face button. God damn.
And these are all things that disappear once you get past the first couple of chapters.
That's my ride or die. It's Goombella in the starting slot always for me.
If anything, it's just more efficient, so I don't have to fucking swap out to Tattle. like you're there every fucking time.
I'm so tattle-pilled, dude. I had to know.
One last G before we, I think we're all pretty much tapped out, but I do want to shout out the partner designs are just 10 out of 10. The original Paper Mario was pretty good as far as your partner designs, but often it was just, here is an enemy, here, and it's palette swapped, and it's got a hat. But now, they've got like a hat and a shirt. So Goombario in the OG, just a Goomba with a hat. That was fine. But Goombella, like Chris, like you said, like she's Goom co-ed. And she's wearing like an archaeologist outfit. Like she's Indiana fucking Jones with like a hat and stuff.
Such a baddie.
It's for real. Wood. And Coops with the little half eyelid. I mean, it really sells his character as being like, you know, kind of timid. He's trying. He's a coward, but and like that moment that he has with his girlfriend, and like I love all that character moment stuff. But like the design and the visual language that you have with these characters really sells who they are as people, as your partners. Miss Mouse with like the Phantom Thief, domino mask. Like it's a small change versus like what a normal like NPC mouse has, but her in the red and the heels. Like it really, a mouse in heels, and it's like, oh wow, she's kind of sexy. Like she's kind of got this like mystery thing going on. Like it's clearly it's her badge shop, and she's stealing badges for the badge shop. But like it's kind of got like an air of like, oh, like she's stealing from the rich, and she's like going to fancy parties and drinking wine. And you just see that just in her wearing high heels and like this fancy mask. So I love shit like that. I don't know, Bobbery with like the pirate ship steering wheel on the back instead of a fuse, and like just big props, big love to all those characters.
Piggyback, the fact that the stylish moves for each of them also give us a really good indication of character. Like, I just love, speaking of Coops, that like, yeah, he's a dork, he's timid, he's the anime trope of the guy with the bandage on, right? And he fucking break dances for his stylish move. I'm like, oh, this dude's a dude, he just doesn't know it yet. And that's like his whole arc is like, I gotta be this cool guy for Koopy-Koo, even though she already loves him. She just wants him to love himself as much as she loves him. Ooh, damn. That got me a little bit right there. Nate, you got me so open right now with like your vulnerability in that like beautiful monologue. I'm like, oh God. Yeah, I was just like, this is so, he's cool. He's so cool. And he just like, you get to see it in those moments when like the rubber hits the road and like, you know, things are on the line. We're in battle. And that's when you see the true colors of people. And, you know, Mario's a total braggart because he knows he's the shit. But Coops just low-key is like, yeah, I'm just like bust out a little, you know, triple head spin after fucking these dudes up with Power Shell.
That's a great shout out because, like, you're right, absolutely. And about halfway through the game, I decided to stop even hunting for the stylish for everyone else. I'm just like, I'm just going to kind of casually guess. You could go to the tutor and like you get to practice them over and over again, which I did for like a couple of people. But then I was just like, you know, it just kind of feels inefficient, and I'll get to that later. But but yeah, now I kind of want to go to that spot and just like and talk to that toad and like find these and like try to actually visually see these stylishes, because that you're absolutely right. These are all fucking like character styles. These are all, everything's done so intentionally. All the characters, the world, everything. They didn't have to go as hard as they did. They didn't have to have fucking pieces of paper floating by in Rogueport. Why is there a noose in the middle? Is that the noose they hung the witch with? I don't know. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit in there that's like, y'all really fucking tried, and y'all were really passionate about this shit, and you wanted to have fun, and it makes me want to have fun, you know?
Okay, let's dial it down. Let's bring it down. Let's talk about the things that we thought were maybe just okay, or even moving into some obnoxious or even bad. I think we can just wrap this all into like one section. Okay, Tiffany, here you go.
No, we can't just take like 20 minutes on okay, obnoxious, and bad. I'm happy to do the 2 O's, but then I might talk for a bit on bad. Okay. I'm so sorry about this, but the music's just okay for me. That one song that Chris played, so great. One song. Nothing memorable about this music. I forgot it after I heard it. No. Maybe the remastering is great. I don't know it for reference back then. So there's that, like for sure. I feel like I see into EJ's brain now about Mario RPG because I feel the way about this game as he did about Mario RPG. And Mario RPG is Mario RPG is fun because of nostalgia. I realize it now because I think that's why this game is so loved. At least that's kind of my perspective right now by the people who love it, is it's nostalgia to me. Side quests, fucking hated all of them. So I'm calling it okay though, because I hated them personally, but I think like they're just okay. Like they're not terrible. I just hated them. The fights, you guys are like worshiping the fights. No, boring. I hated it. Calling it okay because I understand that it was fine. The characters were okay as well. I don't feel like any of them are memorable. I'm going to leave this game and never remember Goombella, Koops. I think that the deep connection that you had, Nate, is so cool. I wish I'd had that. I feel like maybe if I was stoned, I would feel that way. And then leveling up. Just leveling up, it was slow. It was annoying. I'm calling it okay, though. I'm just putting it in the okay category. There's a little bit of my Feist saved up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I want to encourage you guys to pop off as much as you want.
Oh, okay.
Pop off as much as you want. Yeah.
Do you want to just go
free.
into obnoxious?
You don't have to. Don't pull your punches. Don't say it's just okay. You're talking about how you hate this, and then you say it's okay.
Oh my god. Well,
You don't have to go to the bad already, but like if you don't apologize for how you feel is all I'm saying. Like
My favorite band ever is Kiss. I am not going to apologize for liking bad things or for talking shit about the things you guys love. Okay,
what's wrong with Kiss?
Don't ask me. They're my favorite band, but everybody hates Kiss.
No, I just messaged my buddy the other day. I was like, "Yo, what's the top 5 Kiss songs?" And he just sent me a list of 5 because that one from Fall Guy has been in my head for 2 months, and I've been playing it on nonstop. And I'm like, dude, I have a karaoke song now. Like, so like if I'm doing karaoke, which I don't do, I'm gonna say, I was made for loving you. That's my song now, and I'm just like, this song is fucking incredible. And there are other songs are okay. Like I gotta find more. You should let me know which songs I should listen to if I can't get fucking I was made for loving you out of my head.
Glove Gun.
Oh, we brought it back. Oh man, that's great.
Okay, some of these things though I put in okay because I didn't hate them all the time. So they were okay. Like music, I didn't ever hate that. That belongs solidly in okay for me. Side quests, sometimes I did like doing those silly little helping adventures, whatever those called.
The Trouble Center.
Yeah, I didn't hate that. Like sometimes I was like, okay, this is a nice break from the extremely long essay of trying to get to the next thing.
I haven't even finished them.
Oh, yeah. There's a few that are like, go to this town that's, you've got to go through 7 pipes to get to instead of just being able to go right click, map, fly, like, why couldn't we paper airplane anywhere? Like that could have been awesome, but that's getting into obnoxious, which I guess I'll just dip into real quick since you said it's okay. And we'll just say it's bad. Obnoxious, the story, especially the Peach Hal romance, just so dumb. Unbelievably obnoxious. I did not give a crap. I did like the idea of Hal.
Tech.
That's right. See, I put Hal because that's the thing. It's Hal from 2001 Space Odyssey. And he literally looks like him. So I was like, that's kind of fun. I like the design, but the romance is so dumb. And then non-skippable dialogue. I didn't put that in bad. I put it in obnoxious just because that's a better word of having to click A over and over and over and over. Or B, that's in the bad category. So I'll stop there because controls are the button controls. Woo!
All right, here's rant 1. This is not the big one. This is a smaller one, but Tiffany queued me up, so I'm going to just fucking slam this down while she's got it in the air for me. Nintendo loves to tell their players that they are stupid and cannot possibly know better than they do. And that shows up so many ways here, which for like a 2024 remaster is not only baffling, but totally fucking inexcusable to me. Like, they are the abusive controlling spouse of my video game nightmares. We can't remap controls, so we're stuck with jump on A, which is not the jump button on any fucking Mario game, and hammer on B, which feels weird the whole time you're playing it. Confirm and interact is also set on A, so good fucking luck if you're trying to jump into a pipe in the fast travel zone from the front side and get stuck in a loop of reading the stupid name on the pipe over and over again. And the pace of gameplay and dialogue is glacial, and so whenever you're in a section of dialogue that isn't clever, almost all of it is clever, but not all of it is. I would say like 70-30. You cannot skip it. You cannot accelerate it. You can't skip cutscenes of any kind, including the fucking end credits. And there was the last little nut shot just to ice the cake of, are you fucking kidding me? It's 2024. I can't even accelerate the pace of these credits. Like, who fucking made that choice? Like, in a remake, I think it is the dev's job to look at things like this that are clearly dated and clearly are not broadly done in the industry anymore and fucking fix it. And they fell down there for me. And little things like you literally made me slow tap through 100 screens of I love you for the fucking Pianta second quest. Like, I want to stuff Francesca in the cannon of Cortez's ship and blast her into the fucking ocean to be food for bloopers. This should not happen in a 2024 remake of a game.
This should have been 200. Fuck y'all. That was great.
It was a really beautiful character moment. I really like how that sold Francesca as being this like semi-abusive and also always gets her way kind of daughter of the dawn, and Frankie being a pushover.
So we get abused to hammer the point home.
Exactly.
No!
What do you need to accelerate the credits for? To go to the main
fucking
menu?
game's over. I don't want to read this. I don't give a shit.
Then put the game down. The game's over. This is just an epilogue. The pages are turning and the book's closing. You don't need
I want to go do the Prince Mush
Nate
fight.
and I are weeping while we see little character vignettes.
I don't want to watch these stupid. I
already fought Prince Mush. I didn't wait till after Shadow Queen. You kidding me, bud?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the incorrect order. You
That's
gotta
funny.
do post-game boss of the post-game.
You unlock that fight really early, which is like surprising. I got that email. I was like, oh, fuck, are they going to do this? And then I went and tried it. I'm like, I cannot do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like, no
I
fucking
tried.
way. No fucking way am I going to throw down with him.
With dialogue and shit, I didn't read a single email. I skimmed. I couldn't do that. That's the only thing. See, when I'm being forced to like listen to stuff and there's little Banjo-Kazooie sound effects, I will press A like on habit and not feel that like annoyance that a lot of people feel. But if it's like a huge ass block of fucking like letter, I'm no pressing plus, pressing A, getting the fuck out of there. You got a fucking 1-up mushroom in there? No, thank you.
A big block of sans serif font. Yeah, I can't handle that. I did love that they added the little Banjo-Kazooie, like you said, sound effects. That was not in the original. And them having like the Babam sounds and the Koopa sounds, like it really made character voices sound like they were attached to these characters.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's new.
I love that. And that they're all distinct, like, you know that's Luigi. Like, I don't have to tell you.
Exactly. And little character animations, like while they're talking or they're emoting, like it just very small additions that like overall add to the feeling.
You know how much I absolutely love the Banjo-Kazooie gibberish.
You would have loved to just have mid voice acting instead in this game, right, EJ? Can you imagine Paper Mario with voice acting? Ooh, you got Chris Pratt.
Fucking commit, at least. Either don't do it or do it. Quit trying to ape Animal Crossing. It's the only game that has done it in a way that is at least kind of
Star
cute
Fox.
Sometimes. Annoying. That's so annoying.
Perfect. It's perfect.
I actually really like that in Banjo-Kazooie. I love that.
It's fucking terrible. Anyway.
You're supposed to hate it. That's why it's fun.
That's why the Pokemon don't talk in the games ever. They don't. It's just for the anime.
Yeah, what's up with the Pokemon still doing like their weird glitch cries? That's not real. Make them say their name. It's 2024.
Commit.
Here's a great chicken or
don't.
egg question. Do they name them based on the sound they make, or over time, did they begin to make that sound because of what the humans started to collectively call them? Food for thought. We can unpack that later.
We'll ask Arceus, the god Pokemon who created them.
Yeah, until 5th gen when it was a different Godmon, and 6th gen, and 7th and 8th, and Jesus, we're on Gen 9 now. We are old.
They're localized.
I didn't play enough of this game to speak to almost anything that you guys have talked about, so I'm not going to do that. But the reason I didn't get any further than 2 stars is because every time I booted this game up, I was bored to tears. Nate, I loved everything you said about the characters. It's really making me want to just power through so that I can see it through that lens now. And like, listen, I'm on record as a guy who like doesn't like cartoons. I have a hard time connecting with things on an emotional level when it's like clearly meant for children. That's just me. So like, it's hard for me to even approach. And it's been a long running bit on the podcast forever. Like I don't like cartoons. Like I can't even watch the things I used to love because I just don't care as a 32-year-old guy. So playing a game like this obviously is not going to connect with me on that level. But I was just so fucking bored. I dreaded getting into combat, bro. You should see me running for my life in a dungeon as a monster tries to, or an enemy like brushes me, and I'm just like, please don't touch me. I don't want to do this again. What I experienced with the story, Koops, he's just like, so I'm playing this game. I'm going through all the motions. The whole first part of the game is just like, okay, talking to people, running from building to building. Nothing's actually happening. Get me out of the fucking pipe for the first time so I can start playing the game, please. And I get out, and I'm doing the thing. I'm talking to everybody, and I meet the Turtle Man, and I'm like, this is the same Turtle Man as the last game. He's even got the bandage and everything. It's just the same Turtle Man. What are we doing?
First Turtle Man didn't have a bandage. He had a bandana, EJ.
No, he had the
You're
thing
paying
on his
attention.
cheek.
No.
Did he have the bandage on his cheek?
No.
Go look at the picture.
Man, it's just a Koopa. He's just a Koopa with a blue shell and a red handkerchief
What?
around his neck.
They got to give you a hook shot. So
I'm going to Google
true.
this.
Big true. A hook shot that stays while you're holding the button. You can do little adventure tricks with.
I have an aversion to cowardly characters. Like, oh, I'm so timid.
I guess I'll let me go through my O's, I guess. I found the leveling up system very meaningful to me. Because now that I think about it, it's like, what do you need these levels for? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what level I'm at, and I beat the Shadow Queen. No clue. And I think I have 72 bench points, so whatever that is. And so like, I didn't find myself like dreading grinding. In fact, I didn't grind. What I did do is like, if I'm going to replay a screen, I'll fight through these dudes because I got to a point where I can kill them all in one hit. And for some reason, knowing that every level I'm going to get 3 more badge points to fuck around with my badges. The 6, the 12, the 10, all the different star points slowly going to 100 every time, which doesn't really change the pace at which you level. That made it so that it wasn't like a grind, nor did it feel like it was coming on too quick. I felt it was just like, it's okay. So it's like at the top end of my O for me. There were plenty of points in this game I found it was like really hard to stop playing for me. Like I was like, I'm going to do the good thing for myself and go up the staircase and then press sleep, right? I get up the staircase, I go through the door. God damn, I went through the fucking door. Well, let me just fucking kill this guy real quick. Oh, let me sniff around for a badge. I just kept doing that over and over again. I felt like I haven't felt this feeling in such a long time. And I was like, man, you know what? This whole idea of setting myself up for success is actually going against me. So I should just fucking press power wherever the fuck I'm at and just like, and stop. But it was really hard. And I also found that like the star pieces, which like in RPG, I thought a lot of the secret green coins are in the most stupid places. And I'm just like, I never would have fucking figured this out unless I jumped on every square. And, but this one, every single one of them is pretty obvious. Like, so it's like, it's just enough to be like, I probably would miss 6 up without really trying. Right. And I was like, this is just enough to like hammer some spots once in a while to see if the panel flips. And I thought that was a perfect amount of Easter egg hunting type energy. I feel like my OKs and my bads are around the same for me. So I'm going to save all my OKs and bads together.
EJ, I have a strong suspicion you have more in the chamber, and I don't want to do 2 rants so close together. So I want to kick the turtle shell back to you.
I was just, talking about how I'm a 30-year-old who's dead inside, but not the kind of dead inside you have to be to like these kind of games where it's like, here's an RPG and here's what RPGs have done for 30 plus years. Now, what if we did almost none of that, but we're going to make you think the writing is really clever? And I'm not a dialogue skipper. I'm going to read the damn dialogue, but there's there's a reason that every time I played this game, I told Brendan this last month. I was like, literally, if I take an 8 p.m. nap like an absolute psychopath and I can't go to bed, 3 hours later, I'm going to just put Paper Mario on and read through 5 minutes of dialogue, and I'm done. I'm out. I'm fucking conked out with a switch on my chest. I just can't. I just couldn't. I'm not. This isn't even a commentary on whether it's good or bad. I don't even know. I just couldn't get through enough of it consecutively to like pass any kind of judgment. I was just so bored, and I don't even know how. I wish I could articulate why I was able to stomach Super Mario RPG, which I think has like almost all of the same flaws as this game. You know, I think they're kind of on the same level, and I enjoyed Super Mario RPG. I don't know why I couldn't get through this game. I don't know why. I beat the first Paper Mario. I don't know why. I was just so bored. Even after Chris, I texted you, I was like, I'm not playing this game anymore. Like, I've decided, like, I'm pulling a Nick. You know, it was more than 15 minutes, but I just was like, I think I have to be done. I can't.
I probably played as much Skyrim as you played Paper Mario.
and as we're finding out, not nearly enough to have actually, you know, garnered any sort of real understanding of what these games are. As I'm learning again after you and Nate just gushing to start the podcast, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Which is something that I ask myself on this podcast way too often. Thanks, guys.
We love introspection here on the Console Crusade. EJ, I think one of the things that may have been more of a block for you in this game compared to Mario RPGs, I think this game has a lot more like vignettes that are just like cutscene adjacent. Like it's not a cut, it's like all in engine, it's all in game, it's all, you know, dialogue boxes happening back and forth. There's a lot more of that more frequently in this game compared to Mario RPG. That game is kind of limited based on its scope, and it being on the Super Nintendo, they couldn't really design around something as large as this, so you get a lot less of it. So anytime you go into a dialogue sequence, it's because you walked up and pressed A to Frog Fuchsius or whatever. Like, so a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, totally. I'm with Tiffany. There's just way too much. And if that's what tickles you about these kind of games, that's great. It's not what tickles me. And I feel like I've kind of been that way for a good long while. So yeah, if the story is the selling point of an RPG like this, I'm just probably never going to connect with it. Like, I want to min-max my systems and my party, and that's what kept me engaged with Mario RPG. Whereas in this game, like I said, at combat, I was dreading it, dude. I was like, please don't touch me. Whatever I can do, and then my inventory, not a mushroom in sight, nothing but fire flowers. Like just clear these trash mobs as quick as humanly possible.
That's so funny.
That's how the beginning does kind of feel. Like I felt the same way, and I'll get to that in my beat. But let me just jump in real quick with this little revelation I had a couple weeks ago that I've been kind of saving. I was looking for an in for it. Well, I won't try to take up too much time. But when I was a kid, and I went to Disneyland, and you talk to other kids about Disneyland. You ask them what their favorite ride was. Space Mountain, Space Ride, right? It's always that kind of shit. I was not that kind of kid. I do like Space Mountain, and I do enjoy that. But what the things that I found enjoying most, and what was my favorite ride and is still my favorite ride, was Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah.
Yes! 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 Whoa! My man!
EJ, there is a little EJ in you that's waiting to be healed and waiting to be unlocked and waiting to really sit on a storybook for 5 minutes and enjoy the sound effects. What is Pirates of the Caribbean if not sounds and music and atmosphere and smell and a whole bunch of shit that you're just cruising through at a glacial pace? And so you're sitting there, you sign up for the vibe. You're there and you know what it smells like, you know what it feels like, you know there's no drops, you know there's any of that, but you're just having a good time with this story. And that's like these games are structured like a story. And that's how I always felt. And so like I always get drawn to storybook rides as a kid, not for like the thrill of it, because I'm like the thrill of it and the thrill of an RPG is that kind of like engagement and that like power and that battling. That is a version of a game that I do enjoy too. But for this particular for Pirates, I'm like and like even now, like a lot of their storybook rides, if no one's ever ridden Rise of the Skywalker or whatever, that's I sobbed on Rise of the Skywalker when that ride was done. If you've not ridden it, get your ass to Disneyland at some point and ride that shit, because they're doing some next level fucking shit with the same kind of structure that Pirates of the Caribbean is. And Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is the same thing. It's a storybook ride, but it's a different flavor. It's a different chapter. It's a different everything. And it's like, so yeah, there's that part. Here's another part I want to bring up. When I was young, let's say between 10 and 12, even close to teenage years, some days I would sit on the couch after school or on the weekend. I don't know when it was, but I would just be channel surfing. And I know like the good shows don't start till 3:00. You know, what do we got? Like Animaniacs, Batman, Beast Wars. All these shows don't start until like these times. But between 2 and 2:30, there's nothing to fucking watch. And so sometimes when I'm just flipping through the channels, I'll put on Blue's Clues. Not because it's for me, not because I enjoy it, but because there was some type of just kind of like sedation that would happen with this show that is meant to, like, it's not for me. Blue's Clues isn't for me, but there's a part of my brain where I'm sitting on the couch just waiting and just like kind of like just like looking at these colors, and Blue is hiding somewhere. Here's the first clue. It's a tree. Blue's in the treehouse. Blue's in the treehouse, you fucking idiot. Right? Like that. I didn't literally like,
Got him.
Yeah. I didn't literally like engage with the show like that, but I did like, there was like that part of me that would just kind of spike. And it was just like just kind of like an enjoyable like cruise. Very same thing. Blue's Clues is not for me. I'm 10, 11, 12 years old. I didn't choose it. I don't like go, hey, it's 2:00. Let me put on Blue's Clues. But I've seen quite a few episodes, because the way Steve talks to you and the way that the game, like, that he drags you along to this story for 30 minutes, it's not that he's making you feel dumb or anything. He's there to support you and to spend time with you. And like, you have to choose to watch Blue Clues. You have to choose to fucking put on Paper Mario. This has to be a hat that you put on. It's not going to objectively be there for everyone. Like, Blue's Clues is good, but it's not for everyone. It's like, if you want to fucking come watch the story, come sit down and watch Blue's Clues. Third point, there was this game called the Goosebumps game for PC in like 1995 with Jeff Goldblum as a vampire.
Hell yeah.
I had this game. This game you could beat this game in like 30 minutes. I must have played this game a bunch of times, maybe 6 or 7 times. I didn't get all the coins. I didn't do all the shit, but it's a fucking point and click adventure of different sections of the park. One day at Horrorland, there's the bat ride, the mummy section. You get to the vampire. It's just a ride. You just go through it, you click it, and it's not meant to like engage anything. A part of me that wants to be challenged. There's a part of me that just wants to sit down and vibe. And when I was playing this game, I realized that this is why this game seems to like resonate still, because it's not nostalgia. I don't remember playing this 20 years ago. Like there's a part of me that was just like, oh, this is going to be a nostalgia grab or whatever. But like when I'm playing this, I even put the nostalgia badge on, and I didn't even notice the difference between the two songs. But when playing this remake, and I'm just like, oh my God, this story stands on its own. And the reason that it works so well is because it vibes with some people. It's not perfect. It's not good. And there's the whole B section that we're about to get into. I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring up this story before we even got to the B section, but when we get, but like that, yeah. That's pretty much it. Goosebumps, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Blue's Clues. It's it's a choice, and you have to be prepared for it. And like when you say maybe if you were stoned, Tiffany, that you might have actually enjoyed this. What does stoning do except not lower, but like it changes your consciousness to a different state so that like you're more available to receive, right? And so it's like, rather than the stuff that we function normally, like, damn, I'm like a 5 functioning fucking adult. I don't need to fucking play this kid game, right? So it's like, there's parts I got shit to do. I've fucking got classes to teach, And so like, there's a whole bunch of shit that like will get in the way because this is all part of life, right? And so like, what turns it off? Being high, whatever, or just willfully choosing it. I choose to turn this off. I'm going to put this game in fucking docked mode, and I'm going to and sit here for it. Not because it's a chore. Once it started to become a chore, like I started to feel like I got to rush this. I still felt myself going against rushing it. Like I was like, I just fucking beat it 2 hours ago. Like I was just like, I timed it on in my head. So I knew that I wouldn't rush and I would enjoy this entire thing. And I was worried that if I rush it, I'm rambling. If I was worried if I would rush it, that I would not enjoy it. There's a game I did rush. And this is the last thing I'm going to say, was Twilight Princess for Wii. When the Wii came out, this was another console I bought on my own too, which meant a lot for me because I sold all my shit so that I can afford to buy this Wii. I bought the Wii, And then like Twilight Princess, and I beat it in a week or so. I was working too. And I blasted through it, and I haven't played it since. And I'm like, but not because it was bad, but because like I knew how I felt when I rushed through it, that I didn't absorb it as like I did other games, and like and sometimes I'll forget things. And so like when it came out as an HD re-release, I was like, thank God I get to do it, and it's backwards, so they flip over because back then I had it on the Wii remote, so I played it in reverse mode, and so like I get to replay the game, but it's got to be a new experience. Anyway, my point is, I don't like rushing things if I don't have to. I took a fucking year to beat Tears of the Kingdom, and I fucking edged myself to a very emotional catharsis. And like, so like, anyway.
Hell yeah.
I wish that my inability to enjoy these mediums meant for children was just because I was a haughty asshole. Oh, this is meant for children. No, it's actually because I'm broken. It would be easier to get over it if it was just because I had some sort of superiority complex. No, it's just because I'm dead inside that I can't enjoy these things the way I used to. So I can think to myself, all right, I'm going to approach this with this kind of hat, and I'm just bored to tears still. And so, and again, it's not why I'm not holding against the game the way I might with other things that we've argued about on this podcast, looking at The Last of Us Part 2. It's just, I know it's a me problem. Like, what did we just talk about with Hollow Knight last episode? I don't know what it is. There's just this barrier. There's this opaque glass I'm trying to see through on the other side, and I make the shapes of Nick and Chris out over there frantically waving at me, but I can't be sure. You know, that's how I feel.
You're Squidward looking out the window at SpongeBob and Patrick.
right.
Like I said, there's a smaller version of EJ inside you that that recognizes and understands these things we're talking about, and identifies with. The problem is you can't feel it, right? So it's like there's basically, and you've identified it too. You say you're broken. Broken doesn't mean you can't be fixed. It just means right now you're in a place where you're just not available to like vibrate with this particular wavelength. But it's not permanent, and it's not something that can't be like, you know, massaged into like. You know what you should do? You should fucking beat the game. You should just play through the story 5 minutes at a time. And who knows? Because the dialogue starts to ring different. Like the dialogue for me was like, there are things about the dialogue that were like, man, this is clearly written by someone who was my age when they were made this for people who were 20 years younger. And now that I'm at the age where I can understand the people who wrote this shit, and I'm just like, because back then I'm 17 years old, like, I was on message boards and I got that joke, right? And like that, but these are people, they were 10 years older than me, 20 years older than me. And so they wanted to express themselves this way. And it's like
Bill Watterson effect. I just got to push through. And it didn't help that every time I hit a wall, I had Chris in my mentions or in my text messages, just absolutely not only affirming everything that I was feeling, but just stoking the flames with pure rage. There was a lot of it.
Well, he wasn't going to come to me with his rage. He came to me with his glowing, his like, oh, I love this moment. I love Cortez's boss music.
Know your audience.
These badges and all this.
Know your audience.
He came to me with some shit.
Yeah, I imagine that monologue Chris read earlier was just a text message he sent to you last month.
No, he said there's some stuff he was saving.
Yep. And here's one. Yeah, this is like, you know, the last little, I don't know, like pace of play and control mapping, you know, Nintendo being controlling thing was like one. But like the big thing that threads between almost all of my obnoxious stuff and some of my bad stuff, I couldn't figure out how exactly to articulate it. It was a bunch of disparate pieces. And then I kind of clicked for me and was like, oh, I get it. All right, so bear with me. Combat, far and away the best video game part of this game. Writing and humor, characters, probably the best. But as far as like things that make a video game and an RPG a video game and an RPG, combat is the best. So you would think that the game would want to give you every possible incentive to get into combat because that's what RPGs do. Like the whole point of an RPG is to get stronger, to be able to be progressively more bad guys. That is what an RPG is. So the combat itself is great. Check. First hurdle cleared. However, so many of the other systems in the game that have to do with combat, pretty much every other system that has anything to do with combat except for actually fighting, does not work well together at all and actively disincentivizes you from getting into combat. EJ touched on this a little bit. So like I'm already out of record as being really lukewarm on slashing XP as a way of scaling enemies. You get into a battle with 3 Goombas or whatever, going to Hooktail's castle, and it yields 1 SP and takes like 2 minutes. It's just a total waste of time, right? It's a system I don't like, but it is no different than getting in a random battle with a level 2 Pidgey outside Pallet Town, and you've got a level 32 Charmeleon. It's the same. The XP is negligible. That battle does not serve you. You're not going to fight that battle. You're going to run to save time. But Thousand Year Door discourages you for running and punishes you for running by making it harder to run every single time you get into a battle you did not want to take. Okay, so we want to avoid battles, right? We got the first strike badge pretty early. Very welcome. Clear stuff on the overworld, prevent the battle. But unlike when the mother games do this, and we've talked about this at length with regards to Earthbound on this podcast and how awesome it was that they did this so early in gaming history, you do not get SP for first strike kills. So now, rather than encouraging you to take an action to get something, they are encouraging you to take an action to avoid something else. In this case, a completely useless fight. And the opportunity to incentivize first strike is literally right there. Like, I will take that 1 SP for hammering that Goomba outside Petalburg. Thank you very much. That adds up. You also have to not, like, fuck up the first strike, which skill issue for sure. But there is a chance that you get into a functionally useless battle, have your time wasted. So we are still taking action to avoid instead of to pursue. And psychologically, that is not a motivator for people. Negative action, avoidant action, it makes us frustrated. It makes us more avoidant instead of incentivizing us to be eager and excited in the way that like the reward center does. Okay, so then first strike is not incentivizing us. So let's just avoid the enemies. Like, let's just skip the whole thing and get around them. There are major depth of field issues in this game, I had, because of the paper conceit. It is really hard to tell what plane you're on. They even literally signpost for you where a lot of the pipes that you can jump to using the crinkle jump, the super jump, because otherwise you can't fucking tell because you're paper. Duh, you are 2-dimensional. And they also, as a design aesthetic, throw a bunch of shit in your field of view to mask hidden items and enemies. So avoiding things is a big pain in the ass, and we're still in negative action. On top of all of this, like, jumping feels really bad in this game. It feels terrible. Anytime I had to do any platforming stuff, I hated it. It is really vertical. You have no momentum, and then you just drop. It doesn't feel like jumping in literally any other Mario game, including Super Mario RPG. Damn it, I mentioned it. I said I wasn't going to mention it. But even that, like, the isometric thing gave y'all, EJ specifically, fits. And I see that. I understand that. This game, man, the platforming is bad. The jumping feels bad. It feels off. So the timing of that is frustrating. And all of this makes backtracking into any area that isn't the active quest zone completely untenable. And guess what? That's literally the whole game. Walking to places you've already been, talking to NPCs, occasionally getting an item, and then walking back and talking to the first person to another NPC to give that to them. More on that later. And how is the movement that you're doing while you're doing all of this? It is fucking ponderous. There are loading screens between every fucking distinct room in this game with the little 7 stars ticking away in the corner. Like, what the fuck? And the only way you can go faster is by riding Yoshi, which means you can't first strike because you can't use your hammer and you can't jump. So you're stuck with the depth of field issues trying to run in circles around them. Like, literally everything about combat that isn't fighting disincentivizes you from getting into combat, which runs counter to the whole fucking point of a level-based RPG. And that's a huge bummer because the combat in this game is super fun and customizable. And so if you're going to do XP slashing as your scaling method, you've got to do it better than this. This is not it. If I'm so much stronger than this enemy that it's going to yield 1 SP for killing 4 Goombas or whatever, give me a guaranteed run in the way that Pokemon does, like running the numbers versus your Pokemon's level and the opponent Pokemon level, that doesn't drop my meter. Don't punish me for getting around a system you designed. And if you're going to do first strike, give me star points. Do it like Earthbound does. It ain't broke. Why'd you deviate from that? And that's a big fucking bummer. Again, I want to fight. Fighting is fun, but not if it's a complete waste of time and not if all the stuff around it just does not work together at all.
And they even made the running a little bit less punishing because before you would lose coins when you ran away as well. But in this game, that is not the case. So I only ran away from like a couple encounters because generally I didn't have that tough of a time avoiding combat if I was avoiding combat. But I think, yeah, your arguments are sound there, Chris.
Yeah, I think they're sound too. It's but again, I bring up, what do you need the levels for? Like the philosophy of the game is like they want to keep you going, but like there's you don't need the levels really. It's baby's first RPG. It's like you can beat the game with a relatively low level, and when you get to areas where you do need a level, they give you like a shitload of flower points, so you balance to the area where you can get at to survive if you're struggling with however issues you're struggling with. And they give you so many different options too. Like you can run, which I've ran 4 times now. I didn't realize it makes it harder because you just press A over and over, and then like you have 100% chance to run, right?
As if you run more like frequently back to back, the starting point of that bar moves further to the left. So it gets to the point where I think if you're even like doing like if you have like a turbo switch controller and you're like mashing A as fast as possible, I don't know if you could even max out that percentage.
Well, certainly it's an option, and like and the first striking things like this, if you want to just turn it into a platforming game or whatever. But if you were to get 1 star point every time you did that, what's to stop people from just farming? Like they would just sit there, reload the screen, 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, and then like just max out and do all this extra shit. They don't want you to play the game like that. They don't want you to play the game like that because that's what the game's not for that. Like the game is there to just like progress in the story at a glacial pace, really. And then like avoiding the Yoshi is a choice. Like you get on the Yoshi, you're not going to get to first strike. Yeah. But you get on the Yoshi, it's because you want to get the fuck away from everyone. So it's like, might as well.
Yeah. I don't necessarily agree that you should get the SP for the first strike. I think it should be a little bit easier to get the bump attack badge. That's like really far down in the Pit of 100 Trials, which is like the first strike badge, but you don't even need to actually do the attack. You just run into an enemy. And if they're below your level, then you just insta kill them. So that is like level 70 of the Pit of 100 Trials. So it's like, it's a really powerful badge and it's like a really meaningful reward, but it's also tough because obviously you're dealing with like the tedium that you're facing with the lack of benefit to getting into these battles in the first place. So yeah, I think that's like a just part of the design philosophy and like the way that they incorporated these side quests that oftentimes send you to far reaches of this game, where I think what I mentioned earlier is that if you've progressed to a certain chapter, the enemy should also get stronger so that you have a more interesting time going through. So you're not just like avoiding the most menial of enemies, these 2 HP Goombas that you're just like wasting your time or wasting your runaway points or whatever you want to call it, or trying to get the first strike, but you're on Yoshi and you have to like hop off. Yeah. So I get that, but I think it's just like a design choice that they didn't necessarily jump towards. But I think that would be something that I would be looking for in a new title, and maybe not necessarily the remade version of this one. Like that was a fuck up that they did back then, and something that I didn't really come across as being like too much of like a down. It wasn't a downer for me, but like I totally get it for you. And like we've had this conversation many times about like the math that they do to figure out how many star points you're getting for these battles, and it's like it is super in favor of large groups of enemies. Like if you're fighting 5 of something, you're getting a huge boost to the amount of star points you're getting. And that makes a little bit of sense because you always have a team of 2 characters, 1 or 2 characters. So it's like the more enemies there are, there's like not that many AoE effects like EJ brought up. And like the ones that you do have are stuff like Vivian's fire attack that cost like a lot of flyer points actually. So you can't just be spamming that unless you just have a ton of maple syrup that you're just chugging after every battle. So it kind of turns into like the economy and the balance of all these different things. So I don't know. All that to say, I didn't have much of a problem with it, but I totally get where you're coming from, Chris.
Because I want to fight. Like I want to fight. Like the fighting's fun. Like that's the part of the game that I'm super fucking invested in. And it's just like, not this little.
Do a danger build.
Yeah, I bet like a ROM hack version of this game where they make everything like a little bit too hard would be a fantastic like re-experience of this kind of battle system, because you can really exploit it for all it's worth. But then you're not like overpowered. You're like actually just scraping by. That sounds like a good time.
Do a danger build, because that all of a sudden it's using parts of my brain, and like I'm playing the game differently. Like I'm trying to protect myself with shells and invisibles and keeping life mushrooms on me so that I don't fuck up. And if I do fuck up, I get punished or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm playing this easy ass game differently now, and it makes it easier in a way, but it also is high risk.
Glass cannon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you got any other bad things you want to pile on before we score? Oh,
I got more.
Give it to
I'm not
us.
done. That was just obnoxious.
That was obnoxious.
Read us the rest of your review,
Wow.
Chris.
Well, this is, a lot of it is stuff that Chris kind of mentioned, but I put it in bad. Gameplay is like the most horrible thing of my life. Like I hate it so much. God, I just was like, at some points, I was like, Chris, where do I have to go? Where the fuck do I need to go next? And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. They told me to like go to find some guy to talk to him about some shit. And he was like, oh yeah, it's behind this thing. It's kind of hard to see. And I'm like, why? It's like on the other side of Rogueport. And then it's like, go back to the west side. And it's like, oh, just kidding. Go through the grate. And then, oh my God, I hated the gameplay so much. Button controls, as I mentioned before, unbelievably stupid. Like, why? No other game, Mario, jumping, is it that way? Like, what the fuck? Even if it was just those two buttons switched, that would have improved this up to obnoxious or even okay. But like,
I didn't even notice. Like,
it's terrible.
Like, so the one time I ever noticed that was Mega Man Anniversary Collection for GameCube, where for some fucking reason, like, I'm used to Mega Man doing certain thing and charging with certain, but they switched and you couldn't change it. And that was like near unplayable for me. But I didn't even fucking notice, like, because in my head, it's like A is the one on the far right, right? Am I tripping? Wait.
Yeah, it is.
A's
and
jump and B's hammer?
Yes, and the lower button is usually jump. The lower button is almost always jump. Whatever it is, I think it's B sometimes and sometimes A. I don't know. What about on the N64 controller? Because that's my experience.
A spin jump in Super Mario World and B is regular jump. So yeah, okay.
Regular jump should be B. That's what it was on everything. So that drove me nuts. And then like, I don't know, all the other things, like trying to find menus and all that shit. It's like I'm pressing just buttons that felt random to me. I don't know. So generally button controls were bad. Travel between worlds. I don't care that they added that little area where you can go to tunnels. I hated it. I hate that I have to go under Shreveport. Why do I want to say Shreveport? We are in Louisiana. That's why this game is weird. No, Rogueport. Northern Louisiana. Let's be clear. Southern Louisiana is different. But yeah, no, I just hated travel between worlds. I wanted so bad to just have some. God, I hope that if they ever do another Paper Mario game, they would take this idea. Hear me, oh Mario gods. Please let us travel between worlds on a paper airplane. Okay. And then the last thing I have on here is so funny. Renaming Mario to the Great Gonzalez. I just hated that a lot. I just don't get it. Like, Gonzalez isn't even an Italian name. So it sort of feels a little, it didn't age well sort of thing.
No, because Grubba is like fully Southern racist coded. It's so funny. It's awesome. It's like this weird out of touch old man Vince McMahon
oh my God.
character is just naming this guy like, oh yeah, you look like a Gonzalez. And it's like, what the fuck? That's also awesome and hilarious.
No, it's so bad. And everybody just calls him that from there. They're like, oh yeah, the Great Gonzalez. And everybody just goes with it. I did like the Rock Hawk though. He's great. I liked just saying Rock Hawk or Raw Cock. And then like saying his lines out loud was great. Just like everything he said was like, rock! I accessed my inner Screamo. So to jump back up to something great, the Rock Hawk character was great.
I realized that button A is huge and green on the GameCube, and that's where the jump is. It makes sense.
Let me change it if it's not going to be big and green anymore, please.
I am realizing, though, that is one of the great disadvantages as Nate keeps bringing up this younger self, which I'm also very in touch with in other genres of life, not video games particularly. Well, I am with N64 because that's what we had as a kid. But the GameCube missed me because I was in foster care when the GameCube was popular. So I never had a GameCube. So that was, N64 was it. And then after that, it was, I got a Dreamcast at one point too. So I love, Sonic Adventure. But then I don't think I returned to video games until, dare I say the Switch. So yeah, yay foster care.
Thanks, Chris. And your corrupting influence.
Oh, bees?
I'm just going to blast my O's and my last O, the obnoxious and B together and just be done with it. At first I used to think multi-block being unusable was obnoxious as shit. But now I'm just kind of like, you know what? I now know what the new pattern is. There's a new pattern and it changes and it resets. And so I'm just like, okay, that's different than being overpowered. It used to be you could like one shot things, right? So it's just like, you know what? Fine. It's okay. I don't want to use that anymore anyway. I did that when I was younger. So like, I'm going to play this new version of it. The thing that I found for me, obnoxious. I have ADHD and I don't like load screens and I don't like waiting and I don't like dialogue and all that stuff. None of that really hit me the way they hit y'all, except for the animation that comes when people are appealing. Every fucking battle, the more people you get, I have 150 people in my crowd, and if I do one stylish move, there's about 1.5 to 2 seconds of fucking frames of them all jumping up, and then them all sending star power, and he goes, and then, and you have to sit through that for 2 seconds every single time. That's a minor obnoxious thing for me. I'm not going to do stylish points anymore. Just don't cheer for me if I have to fucking sit here. Let me just fucking
Don't acknowledge me.
Yeah. God damn. That was really pissing me off. Another thing that's really pissing me off is something that I really you know what you get for beating a chapter? Something you get is to be stronger, and you get a new fucking special move. Every fucking special move sucks with the exception of fucking powerlift, right? They're all fucking super situational. The chapter 1, I'm spamming fire flowers like EJ. I know how that feels, and that's how I was doing it because I don't want to waste too many turns. I want to be efficient. The second I got Earth Tremor, I did it so much because like it's just more efficient. I don't want to have to press to go to menus and open up POW blocks when I can clear everything in six turn and with that does 6 damage. But that's not how they want you to play the game. But at this early stage in the game, when I'm just trying to like push through like these really weak enemies or whatever, then like I'm incentivized to do that. Why would I spend items to fucking do that when I can just use this ability that I got that costs a whole 2 stars, right? That's everything I got. And also, why the fuck do I have to fucking press A 30 times? Why couldn't it just be a baseline? Why couldn't it just be a baseline 4 damage, 5 damage, 6 damage? Let me do it 3 times. The fact that I have to sit there and do it that many times, I fucked up maybe 1 or 2 times, and when I do, it is rage filled because it's all ADHD. And so, like, you press A a little too early, even though the fucking window is really big. It's so generous, but I suck. And so sometimes I'll overthink, and then I'll like develop a pattern on the last one, beep 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 beep, beep and then like it fucks up. But like, why the fuck do I have to fucking sit through this every single time I want to use Earth Tremor? And that's the only one I fucking used, really. When I got Sweet Treat, I was using that all the time because I didn't want to fucking use my items. And like, so I'm like, I'm just going to like keep my flower points up because I don't have enough badges. So I have just to fucking, yeah, that fucking bullshit. And then like, please don't hit a fucking purple mushroom. I hit a purple mushroom and I'm just like,
Poison.
God damn it. I got nothing from that. I wasted my fucking life. And then fucking, what do you get after that? The clock out? I didn't use clock out for like a whole chapter. And then I finally had an opportunity to use it. I go to use it. Every single one of them resisted clock out. And I'm like, why is this ability in here? I can't use it. Why can't I get something good?
Worthless.
And then when you finally get the buff up one, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is something I could use for the rest of the game. And I'm like, yes, this is useful, even though it only lasts like fucking 2 turns or some shit.
2 turns.
Yeah. And then the art attack, which was cool, but I'm going to go straight into the worst part of this game for me is the Joy-Con. The Joy-Con joystick is so goddamn sensitive and so modern to a game that didn't have that kind of a joystick back then. So when I'm trying to do art attack and draw around, it's fucking going all over the place, and it's becoming not fun to have to draw these obnoxious, oblong, fucking crazy ass circles that I miss somebody. And I'm like, this isn't fun. Give me a stylus and that would be fun if I'm like circling things. And so like, if I really need to clear a field because I want to get past this, I'll use art attack. And, but I maybe used it 4 or 5 times. And Sweet Feast, I never used it because by then I had fucking Danger Mario, so I don't fucking really need to use this. And I'm like, I have 15 flower powers, so like I'm not really spending flower anyway because everything's like discounted. And then what's after that? The stupid one where you're fucking slicing people and it costs all your star power to do what kind of damage would it do that I couldn't do just multi-bouncing on people? And so I'm just like, these are all useless. Like if they are, and you know, if it would have been cool if Earth Tremor had different elements to it. Like you use Earth Tremor and then like maybe maybe lava comes up. Maybe it's a water version. Why does it have to be Earth? What is so special about Earth to this? Is it the Earth Star? Is that what that is? Because like it's just felt like a random ass fucking RPG ability. What is this doing here? And the second I was never able to use that again, I was very happy. But I thought to myself, why the fuck is this game giving me these super abilities? Like these are limit breaks, right? These are things that like I earned and I should be able to spend, and I'm not fucking spending them. Was in my obnoxious. I'm really tempted to put it into my bed. But my bad is just pretty much the Joy-Cons. Like if I'm using Body Slam with the Ghost chick or the Flurry, I think she's a ghost, but she's a fucking elemental of wind. Fucking trying to keep the thingy in the fucking circle, and the Joy-Cons are just like, and it's just like
Drifting too.
Yeah, it's like, this is so stupid. I'm never using Flurry. Sorry, I don't even care if you could clear. Flurry can clear the whole field if you fucking use her ability. That's another fucking option you have to like get rid of a whole bunch of enemies. But that's too boring for me, so I don't fucking do that. But yeah, 360 billion directions of fucking input that these Joy-Cons have, and every single one of them seems to influence the game for some reason, like when it has like very specific stuff. And I'm like, no, the fucking Switch Joy-Cons are shit and I don't like it. And that would get in the way sometimes of the platforming elements, which, by the way, platforming elements I didn't really have an issue with unless I was in handheld mode. If I'm in handheld mode, it's a fucking different game. But when I docked that shit, I'm just like, oh my, every time I docked it, I was like, oh wow, what a gorgeous fucking game. Why the fuck am I not docking? Oh, because sometimes I kind of want a fucking TV on at the same time. So I'm like, let me just catch up on the boys real quick while I'm fucking playing my fucking chapter story. And I don't really care about the boys that much anyway. And okay, here's the worst part of the game for me. Worst part of the fucking game, absolute worst part of this fucking game. I'm still think it's a masterpiece. The worst part of the game is 15 item limit. Why the fuck is there a 15 item limit? Why do I have to go all the way to a store to store only 34 things? So I'm only going to store these things to make recipes later. And I'm like, I want to be able to keep these things. How many times am I getting an item and throwing it away? And then it gets worse when you fucking get these special abilities, so I can wipe out things on my own. I don't need fucking shooting stars or fire flowers anymore. But I'm like, now I'm just throwing shit everywhere. And now I can't smell the ground, because if I'm smelling the ground with the mouse, then it's going to smell the thing I just threw away, and it takes 50 minutes to fucking despawn. So I have to fucking sit there and just wait. And I'm just like, the fucking items in this game, it's like, they're great for the beginning of the game. That's as we could tell by EJ, and that's how I played too. I was fucking blasted all my power blocks and fire flowers. Those are fucking, I'm not selling these or anything. I'm using them. And by the time I fucking, but when I wanted to keep things to actually use them and store them, like, let me keep a boost sheet. Let me keep an HP drain just in case. Let me have like a fucking stockpile of things. 15 item limit? What the fuck is that? What I don't see what kind of abuse can come from like spending money and getting items. What kind of abuse can it be if I had 100 items on me? Like, it's my choice to spend these fucking items. I bought them or whatever, or I found them. The 50 item limit should have been upped, and the fucking bank should have been increased. It was just, that was the thing that was just getting in the way of fucking me enjoying. It's just throwing shit away. I don't like doing that. I don't like throwing shit away.
You didn't need those items. You didn't need them. You don't need those levels. You don't need those items. If you have 15 items, you got too many items. And the original game was worse. It was 10 item limit in the original.
Oh.
And you get the pouch in the Pit of 100 Trials, which doubled it in the original game to 20, but it still goes up to 20 with the pouch in this one. So you don't need those items. You're throwing them away. You don't need them. You got to let it go. But yeah, the despawn limit is so funny. Like, it's just sitting there for so long. And you're like, I got to wait for this thing so I can sniff again, so I can see if I'm actually close to an item or if it's just, I'm getting a false positive on this motherfucker over here. This goddamn maple syrup I threw away because I got a jam and jelly, which I'm just going to sell because I don't need to heal anymore. I'm just selling it for money. I don't even need the money, but I don't want to throw it away. I so get that.
I spent so much time in the snow area looking for something. I'm like, she smells something. There's something here. I don't want to Google this right now. I should Google it. It's more efficient. I'm going to fucking find this thing. It's one coin sitting in a bush. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Wow.
Fuck you. Can you smell the difference between gold and fucking plastic badge?
Maybe the badges are made of gold too. We don't actually know.
That's a good point. Fine. Fuck that.
Made out of tungsten. Yeah. If you're going to change the item limit, and they did make a choice to change it, apparently. I forgot it was 10 going to 15.
Yeah.
Do what Mario RPG did and just say you can hold 15 distinct items and hold up to a certain number of them. Because again, if you're not using them, they're getting thrown away. Why not just not use them and have them be in your inventory? It's literally the same thing minus the 7 screens of clicking through a bunch of fucking text that you can't speed up about, like, you have too many items. What do you want to do? 1.5 seconds. Up comes the menu. Press B. I want to throw it away. 1.5 seconds goes down the menu. Item flies out. And then, oh no, it's right in front of me. So I try to start walking and I fucking collect the shit again. Or I'm like turning to go. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't realize how much that
They should have
me.
let you refund it.
Suppose I want to go on a cooking adventure and out of the post game. I'm going to have to fucking like deposit a bunch of shit and I'm going to go farm the things that I want to make to cook recipes or whatever. And it's like, I can only hold 15. Like this is just, it's just so restrictive. I would have even took if baseline was 20 and the maximum was 25. That's fine. Whatever. Just 15 was just for some reason. I would hit that. No more than that. Right around there. Anyway.
You get a lot of items and they I don't know if they just expect people to use items a lot more than we ended up using them, because like you said, you only really use them in the early game. I didn't really run into that issue until like by the time I was on the moon. I'm just picking up shit all the time. I'm like, I'm not using anything and I'm getting just so many things. But yeah, you should be able to just like either send it to a storage or get a refund. Like because you get a refund badge so that you're incentivized to use your items more and then you get money for it. It's like, hell yeah, that rules. Just let me refund the item that I picked up that I don't actually want. Like basically shortcut me selling it in the first place.
My bads are short. I know we're getting on here. I think all of the side content except for the optional super boss, and then the one trouble board quest that actually was useful. Well, the trouble board quest to unlock the super fight, but also the one to get Miss Mouse. All of the other side content of this game is bad. The trouble board is such a fucking waste of time, and that really sucks because I like to do all of the things the game has to offer. I don't have to engage with that, and so I stopped, and I don't care if you're going to put a meaningful mechanic in your game that is literally all of the things that you can do that is not the main game. It needs to be good, and these are bad. It's walk from point A to point B, talk to someone, click through 18 screens of fucking Mayor Tortimer or whatever, babbling about nothing. And here's 30 coins, Murray, off you go. Great, thanks. Money that I don't need because
Murphy.
I just literally don't need money, and because I don't need items, and I don't need anything because I'm OP and I'm just like destroying everything. And the fact that it makes you go back through all of the areas with enemies that are totally useless to fight. It's just a complete and total waste of time. It's bad. And that's really sucks. And the Glitz Pit Redux, incredibly fucking disappointing to me. Like, oh, climb the ranks again. Great. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to see how they've changed this from the thing I literally just did. It's fucking identical, including the Rockcock fight. What a fucking colossal waste of my time the Glitz Pit Redux was. Yeah, that's all bad. And every single quest in this game is walk from A to B and talk to someone and walk back, including the dungeons. It is not interesting to me at all. Even the train mystery, you don't do any sleuthing. You don't do any real anything other than walking and pressing a button and walking and talking to a random NPC. So just walking through the train, and Goobell is like, I guess we should talk to people. I'm like, yeah, no shit, bitch. I'm trying to find the one person who's going to give me something that will advance this stupid quest. It's just literally talking to random fucking NPCs. That is the entire game. And the train thing really bummed me out because I remembered that part from the original of like, you get to solve some mysteries. You don't. You just get to press A. You do no sleuthing. You do no puzzling. You don't put any clues together and make assessments. It's just literally walking and pressing A.
It's Blue's Clues.
It is.
There's a scene in the first Despicable Me when all of his daughters are gathered around him and they want him to read the fucking storybook. Read the storybook. You got to put your fingers in the hole and the thing. You don't have to fucking like engage with it that way, but you got to turn the page to keep the story going. And that's how the fucking game operates. It's like, even I noticed that on the train too. I was just like, oh, I'm not really doing anything except looking for the spot that advances the dialogue. Right. But that's a lens that I can use to look at this train section, or I can, listen to the music and just find it, and just write it and turn the next page. And that's all it is. I will say that the train's probably bottom for me.
And like, that's totally fair. Like that is the lens to have, like the storybook lens. I still think it's bad. Like even with the full recognition of like, this is what it's asking me to do. I don't think that's interesting at all. Especially because it is the same every time. Like trying to get to, I think, Twilight Town, and you find the pipe and they're like, oh, we can't go through the pipe. Guess we got to go to the professor. Go all the way to the professor. Oh, I guess we have to figure out how to do this. Go find the random guy. Great, cool. Let's check back with the professor. Great, you should be able to go through the pipe now. Why did we need these 8 steps? Like, what is this meaningfully adding to this game? These characters are not like, none of this dialogue's interesting. This is a section of non-clever dialogue where it's just, oh, I guess we got to figure it out. Let me write your name on your ass for you. And then I'm like, oh, this could be really funny. And I turn around and look at the back sprites and our names aren't written on our asses. What was the point of that?
I wrote down backtracking to right name on my butt. Why the fuck did I write that down? So there's something about this section that I wanted to talk about. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I wanted to watch or listen to a story, I would watch a movie. And Paper Mario is like a movie. I have to press A to see the next subtitles. I don't want to press A. I just want to watch a movie or play a game.
Yep. Valid. All valid.
All right, so now that we've spent twice as long bitching about this game that mostly everybody loves here, do we want to do favorite moments, 2-sentence review, give it a score, just cap this bad boy off with a pretty little bow?
Sure. I really liked how you got to engage with the naming mechanic before you got into Twilight Town, because it sort of was a foreshadowing of trying to figure out the name of Dupless and the power that a name has over a character. No, that's all bullshit. I just wanted to say that 'cause I thought that'd be funny.
Oh, yeah. And naming Yoshi. I named him Cool Dude. I like that.
What color were your guys' Yoshis?
Pink.
Red.
Yo, nice.
Pink. Tashi.
Oh, Toshi. I think mine was red with like black hair. I named it Boshi. It wasn't blue though, so it's not a true Boshi, but I just like Boshi.
Dude, I had the same impulse. I was like, I gotta name this cocky fucker Boshi. And then I was like, no, I had to name him Smoshi because that's like Josh. Josh and his friends in grade school wrote comics about a white Yoshi with wings called Smoshi. And so I was like, oh, I gotta name Yoshi Smoshi. Like, it has to be done.
Shout out. Big shout out to Smoshi, dude.
Oh, man. The deep pull, the deep for lore.
Yeah, no, that is a deep cut. Back in the day of like reading Captain Underpants novels with like Flipperama, and then me and Josh like writing our own comics. I wrote all these like hand-drawn comics of baby Pokemon that like form a super team. And then it had like Flipperama where I would like trace on the second page like Pichu's hand like shooting out and like punching a Team Rocket guy in the face. These are good days.
I got a list of a couple of last things to talk about. Little minor details. I thought it was really cool when Vivian's following you and you jump off a cliff. She stays connected to the ground the whole time as a shadow. Like the little fucking details like that I thought were really cool. I like the no water safe. Even like a bucket. Like I stepped in a bucket and a fish came out and bit me and I fucking lost 1 HP. And I'm just like, that's so funny because he's paper. And also it's perfect for me so I can get down to 1 HP and fucking smash things. Oh my God, that's an obnoxious thing. I'm trying to do my danger build and then like hearts pop out when you beat someone. I'm like trying to inch to get coins. I don't need these coins. But you know, if you're going to buy every badge, you might want these coins. And so like I have to inch to like grab them and shit. Yeah, backtracking to write my name on my butt ? I don't know. Oh, I don't remember that section. I don't know why. Toadette saying goodbye when she couldn't teach you anything anymore. And I thought that was really sad. And she just ran off like a little anime girl. I thought that was really cute. The 2 picture frames at the end of the previous game. And then now there's a second picture frame that choked me up too. The fact that every partner has a different dialogue with like, I mean, I'm sure there's nutcases out there who have played this game several different times, like, and kept a primary partner out, and it's a completely different like dialogue path, or not path, but like responses. And I'm like, oh my God, I almost feel that urge, but I'm not going to. There was a point where like I was just like balancing people like automatically. Sometimes I would be running, sometimes I needed flurry, and so all these people got an equal involvement in the progression of the main story, which was a good touch. And I got to be connected. I thought like I would never use Coops again, but like but yeah, I felt like his story in my story, his time was involved just as much as everyone else. And lastly, I thought it was kind of funny that like when the GameCube first came out, Nintendo had a hard on for how many Pikmin can we fit on the screen and like how many all this other shit. And this game fucking triples down on that, where every single chapter has, look how many fucking sprites we can put on the screen at once. And they just like overwhelm me with dry bones or fuzzies or boos or punies, all this shit. That was their flex for this fucking generation, was just like, and then whenever it comes every single time, like, yeah, 1,000 things. Yeah. Right. Okay. If I hammer them, they're going to fall everywhere. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Paper Mario, the 1,000 sprites following you around.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had to say.
I do have one tiny bad, and that is in the original, whenever you would hit a audience member, if they're gonna like throw a rock at you, when they sprinted towards the screen when they ran away, they'd go like a ee! Like a little sound. Didn't have it in this version. I don't know why.
I don't remember.
Shit game.
Bullshit.
Fucking piece of shit fucking game.
Yeah, for that reason.
Top 11.
Yo, knock down a peg.
All right, Tiffany's requested to go last on the 2-sentence reviews for reasons that are probably obvious to everyone. So who would like to start?
No, I don't have to go last now. I can go anytime.
Chris, kick us off.
Me? Okay, fine. Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door unfolds into a new era on impressive 92-pound, 13-point caliber cardstock that is glossy and new. However, corner folds and small creases reveal themselves after opening the ream. How did they let that happen on new paper, creating a batch that's more incomplete than we remember? This might be destined for the sales rack rather than the entrance display of Office Depot. 8 out of 10.
Oh, so it's out of 10?
Yeah, on 20-point scale, 7, 7, 5, 8, 8, 5, etc., etc. For reasons.
Okay. That was written like a fucking reviewer, man. That was well done, sir. Mine, I wrote on a voice memo while driving, voice memoing Chris, and I haven't touched it since. Nintendo opens the 20-year door, and behind it is not the soul of a cash grab soulless demon, but a reminder that a great story is eternal and will be resonant for every generation for the next 1,000 years. I think all of its bads are outweighed by its goods. This is a 10 out of 10, hands down.
Nick.
I don't have a 2-sentence yet.
Oh my goodness, what have we been doing? We've been doing this for months and months and months.
I'll go. Yeah, we should end on a good note.
Sure.
While our primary antagonist Bowser is on a game-long side quest, two-dimensional Mario, both literally and figuratively, wanders through a vague, novel-long storyline, forgettable characters, and a bunch of horny women with a mustache fetish to save Peach or 7 stars or some random NPCs or something like that. TLDR, the Mario franchise is not for RPG. Please stick to platformers in the future. 6 out of 10 will not play again.
When Chris, when you were saying, or someone was saying about part 3, if there ever was a true part 3, I think all of the things that we complain about should be advanced because this game now exists for the next generation. And they could always fucking download Paper Mario 64 on the remastered on the fucking Nintendo 64 version. But it's now the true part 3 should be a little bit harder and be a little bit more of what everyone actually wants. But for what it is, which is like a part 2 of a really easy game, then yeah.
I don't have a 2-sentence review. I didn't beat the game, so I'm not going to score it. That feels disingenuous.
I think that's a good call.
I've got 1,400 words, but I don't know how to boil it down to a 2-sentence without using ChatGPT, and I'm not going to do that. So, needless to say, I'm putting this in the 995 range. I said a lot of words at the beginning. This is still that game, and me replaying it, it's still that good. It's still top 10. It's still triple S tier, ultra goated.
Is this the definitive way to play it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're not missing anything by playing this version versus the GameCube version.
And if you don't like it, you're Omega Virgin and cringe and not based.
Well, I could have told you that at the beginning of this podcast, Nate. Without a doubt.
Cope. Skibbity.
I don't know what these words mean, guys. I'm so old.
Not very Sigma.
All of our ages
either.
start with a 3. This is really fucked up. Don't do this to me. Oh, man. So it sounds like Paper Mario is a good game that most of you liked. I feel obligated to go back and just, I'm gonna trudge. I'm gonna chaucer my way through this bitch.
I also commit to finishing it. I watched Chris finish it. I still want to complete it for the sake of my own ego.
You guys can also wait for kids. Maybe when eventually anyone has a 5-year-old and they want to watch you play a game and you don't want to read a book, then you can throw this on and see how they respond to it.
I'm going to ask you to turn in your best friend card thinking that this is the Mario RPG that I'm giving to our future child.
That is cruel to let them play Super Mario RPG. And
I say, Chris, do you love this hypothetical future child or?
Back in my day, we had to walk uphill both ways.
Hey, even, you know what? Mario RPG's got a breezy mode if they're really struggling. I didn't struggle when I was younger than 10 playing that game. That was my first JRPG. And back in my day, anyway, no. Get us out of here. Save us.
Constant Crusade Podcast. Find us solo.to/Constant Crusade. Find all of our links. Go there. Do it. Thanks again, guys.